Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever the case may be for all of you listening out there across the crazy planet Earth. Welcome to the season finale of Vestiges After Dark. And I am your host, Bishop Bryan Ouellette, coming to you live from the deep woods of western Georgia on this November 18th, 2025. Well, that's it. We've made it to the end of the season, and it's been a fantastic one. I hope you all agree. We've covered some really good topics, and tonight we cover, for the finale, a brand new one we've never discussed before, with a brand new guest, Susan Shatzer, who's going to be here to talk about energy healing and disrupting those patterns that are unhealthy tonight on Vestiges After Dark. Well, hello, everybody. Once again, I'm your host, Bishop Bryan Ouellette, with my co-host, Jamie Wolf.
Hey, good evening, everybody.
And we're here to bring to you the season finale of Vestiges After Dark. It's been a great season, as I said, and tonight should be no exception to that rule. It really been. We've covered some really good topics this season.
Yeah, it's been different. Good job, Brandon.
Yeah.
Keeping it fresh.
He does. He kind of really is the organizer for the show at this point, and he's the one that sort of stimulates the conversation with questions and topics that are relevant to all of you. So if there is something that you would like us to cover on this show, make sure you reach out to him at office@nicolean.org. Just send an email to office@nicolean.org, NICHOLEAN. And Brandon will receive it and try to integrate it into the winter-spring season next year. So we have actual liturgical libations to celebrate tonight's finale. And this was my birthday gift from Jamie, actually, right? It was birthday?
Yes.
Yeah. I haven't opened it yet. Well, I did. I actually opened it upstairs because I wanted to kind of get a little preview, but this is the first day I've opened it.
This is a peated Scotch, but not Scotch.
It's not Scotch, right? Peated whiskey.
It's from, peated whiskey from India.
India, yeah. But it is made with Scottish, peated Scottish barley.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. And so this is kind of a unique experience. I already had a little bit of a taste upstairs, and I'll say it is. You definitely taste the peat. It's there, but it is a lot sweeter than I've ever really had in a peated Scotch. So,
well, y'all know if it's sweet, I'm going to like it.
Yeah. So cheers.
Prost.
Yeah, it's.
I like it.
Lots of taste of fresh oak.
Yes, definitely.
The peat is very mellowed, and a blast of sugar. I get it. It's almost candy.
I get a little bit of burnt caramel.
Yeah, I could taste that. Yeah. I like it.
I think Father Chris might like it.
We'll have to ask him if he likes sweet whiskeys. Let's find out. Joining us from Australia, Father Chris is with us. Do you like sweet whiskey, or do you like it more on the dry side?
Yeah, I kind of prefer dry whiskey, but if it's peated, it could be interesting.
It's an interesting combination.
Have you had this Indian whiskey before?
No, I don't think. No, I've never had any Indian whiskey. I had that the French peated whiskey.
Okay.
Yes, that was good. Yeah.
Dobay, is it?
Yes.
Which
Yes.
was kind of. I liked it. It had a strange aftertaste. Is all I'd say. And I couldn't quite put my finger on. It was a bit soapy. Like it was like a soapy aftertaste.
Is that the one that kind of has the floral aftertaste that you and I tried at the cigar bar several years ago?
That one wasn't peated, so it would have been the same
right.
thing. But
Okay.
this amrut, I believe, is how you say it, amrut. It actually is a Sanskrit term, and it is very, very crisp tasting. Wouldn't you say?
Yes.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah,
Straight out of Kambapura.
it's crisp, but it's like a blast of sugar. It has a very sugary kind of characteristic there.
It's a little more subtle
I mean,
to me, but then again, I like sweets. I'm a rye girl too for whiskey.
Yeah, this is very sweet. Very sweet. I like it. It's very good. Yeah, I like it.
well,
good
the number of Scots that we sent over in the British East India Company, I can't imagine it's the first whiskey ever made in India.
No, I don't
No.
think so. We have a lot. Well, we have a lot
most
of
popular right now.
a lot of the local bottle shops. They call them basically the small
Yeah, they call
private.
that here actually.
Oh, they call them bottle shops too. Yeah,
Yeah.
the little bottle shops, which are basically like the private little liquor stores. You'll find usually more specialty items there, and a lot of them are owned by Indian owners, and they have imported a whole aisle's worth of Indian whiskeys because they're very proud of them. And anytime I go in and buy a Scotch, they always try to get me to buy one one of their Indian
That's
whiskeys.
what this was. I was like, I want something different, but not too different. He's like, oh yes, you come with me.
This is my first time trying one because I've been a little on the skeptical side, but I actually kind of like this. This is good. Yeah, it's good.
There you go.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Outstanding.
Yeah, all right. Joining us also from Tennessee, we have Brandon Milam. How you doing tonight, Brandon?
I'm pretty good. I kind of found it interesting how you're talking about just alcohol in general. It reminded me of after Mass, the weekend we visited, where it was like 12 in the morning, 1 in the morning, and you're trying to explain wine, and I can't understand what you're saying, so I'm just standing there like, yeah, I understand nothing. But, yeah, sounds good.
If you ask a question, you're going to get an answer.
A very thorough answer. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's no subtle way to really describe the alcohol making process. You're talking about true art. This is
Absolutely.
true H&R. And what's the beautiful thing about it for me, it's a way of tasting time, of tasting history. These are processes that really haven't changed all that much. They've improved upon certain things, but overall, the way that we make whiskey today is the same way we made it 300, 400 years ago. It's always been, I guess, about 300 years ago that we've been making whiskey. 1700s, would you say? Probably didn't go back too sooner than that. I mean, I know that they had some distillates that.
Yes, it's not as old as people think.
It's not as old as people think.
Because whiskey distilling came as a byproduct of the beer industry.
That's true.
Right.
And it really was only thought of because some travelers to the east, as I understand it, Irish travelers, as I understand it, Irish monks, visited China and saw their perfume industry, which was very prolific back then. And all of the perfumes were distilled in the way that we make alcohol. And they, I guess, somewhere concocted the idea. I wonder if we did that with like edible products. Well, could we drink this?
I can see them all, somewhere on the Silk Road meeting each other. And how's about a taste here? I can see them getting drunk around a fire and discussing
hard liquor.
things, yeah.
Hard liquor is fairly new to the world. I mean, if you consider like the last 300 or so years, it's fairly new. Prior to that, it was really just beer and wine, and you had.
And the wine wasn't that good.
No, in a lot of cases it wasn't. Like what the Romans considered wine, we would not find probably drinkable. It was heavily diluted. mixed with all sorts of different fruit juices. Probably more like a sangria, but maybe not as good. Maybe not as good. And certainly, I've always wondered, what did the wine at the Last Supper really taste like? Because it probably wasn't all that great until Jesus had his hands. It was awesome. Well, he probably made it good.
He's like, just a second, guys. Yeah. All right, go ahead.
Well, the wedding feast of Cana, yes. they tell him, they're like, this is the best wine I've ever tasted. You saved the best for last, It makes me wonder. It's like this Jesus like
over in the corner going, you bet your ass it does.
I'm going to show you what wine's going to be like about, 2,000 years from now. So that's what you're going to taste tonight. All right, Brandon, I know you've got some questions from the ether. Let's go ahead and jump right in.
All right, so the first question is, I still occasionally hear people believing that during an investigation, they don't encounter children spirits, but evil spirits or demons pretending to be children. How would you discern between the two?
Well, I mean, honestly, and I think I said this when it was asked on the network, if demons really could or wanted to use this scheme to try to facilitate some advantage over us, I think it would be pretty stupid to do so, because it's such a tired ploy, that they're not really fooling anybody anymore. So if this is what they think is going to work by pretending to be a child so that it disarms us, I don't think that really works, particularly with the advent of paranormal television, where it's become sort of a trope, and a bad one at that.
And I know in my experience, and I know people have had a lot more experience than me, if it's a child spirit, you're going to know it. There's feelings that you can't describe through equipment. If something dark is there, you're going to know it.
That's true. There is definitely a difference.
Difference in energy, difference in temperature, just all over feeling.
But, I mean, overall, the same rules always apply across all investigations for us. And that is, we always go through the process that we have in place for moving through the various stages of resolution. Right. So every case, regardless, unless something presents itself immediately to be obviously demonic, which isn't very often, and a lot of times, if that does happen, it's probably because there is no pretense, and they know that they're not fooling us, so why bother, kind of thing. It just becomes a lashing out at that point. But overall, if something is trying to be deceptive in some way, or it's just overall elusive, because sometimes it's just elusive because that's just the nature of this stuff, we just go through the process of it. So it always starts out with, the sacraments. We do usually unction, because there's almost always a victim. Somebody's calling us in, somebody's not feeling well because of it. So there's unction, confession if they're open to it, Eucharist if they're open to it and it's appropriate. We do bring the Eucharist to every investigation. We don't always bring it out at every investigation, but we always have it with us.
It's usually around my neck.
Yeah, definitely. And then beyond that, we'll go into other things like the office of the dead or some house blessings, that kind of thing. And if these things don't reveal there to be more, then usually that's it. We just leave it at that and problem resolved over some time, maybe a few visits, but overall, that's all that needs to be done. If things escalate and then they don't get better at any point, then we move into the next stage, where that's when we start looking at minor exorcisms. And then all the way up to, the solemn exorcism, if needed, which is almost never needed. Almost never. So overall, as you go through this, it's less about trying to figure out what these things are and just going through the normal pastoral processes that the church has available to it. And to the priest, to the pastor, whoever's working the case, and that's it. That's all you have to do. And then whatever it is eventually gets resolved at one of those various stages. You don't really have to spend too much time trying to figure out, is this a demon? Is this a child?
Well, usually when you walk in with that white collar on, it usually pops off pretty quick if it's something dark.
I mean,
we've had that
typically,
happen
and
a few
I think
times.
really what it is that because there's no pretense at that point. They know they're not going to fool us.
We walked in the front door and barely put the bag down, and all of a sudden things just go nuts.
Yeah. So overall, that's kind of how we look at it. And I noticed tonight we have Susan in the chat. She's our guest tonight. Susan Shatzer.
To Susan.
And she asked a question that's kind of related to this, so we'll answer it. She says, "What's the scariest moment we've had during an investigation?" Well, I wouldn't say we've had too many scary moments.
Well, you and I don't scare easily, if at all. I actually get excited when things start getting.
You do.
I've seen more crazy stuff as a cop. Yeah, I mean, I've seen humans do more terrible things than anything paranormal.
I think that's what it is for me
really
too. Is that human evil is so much worse than supernatural evil. So it's like supernatural evil is almost welcomed compared to having to deal with human evil. It's like supernatural evil is almost refreshing because it's methodical. It follows rules. Human evil doesn't do any of those things. You know, it's unpredictable.
Yeah. As a cop going to a situation, anything could happen and you have to prepare for any situation, which is scary because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yes.
But going into this, you know that there's a rule book, so to speak. And so, if things go crazy, there's an answer to it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So as we go through, scary things, we've gotten some interesting EVPs. It is always, if you think about it, maybe a bit unsettling to think that there's, some kind of awareness in these locations that seems to be keyed into or observing you when you don't necessarily expect it or would expect it to be happening. But overall, as you get into the nitty-gritty details of this work, you understand metaphysically what's going on. Some of those preconceptions start to fall away and it becomes very benign quick. I mean, almost to the point where now when we do investigations, it's so... the mystery of it is so lost now. I mean, we're so far beyond.
Well, segue to tonight's show. It's all about energy.
It is about energy. And once you understand that, and once you understand how to work that energy, which we're going to teach you tonight with our guests, I wouldn't say that there's really any room left for being startled or frightened or afraid, scared, So even when you see an apparition, there's been a handful of times where I've been in a dark area by myself, with no light or just using infrared and just basically the infrared on my camera to get to walk, and you see an apparition right there. Even that becomes somewhat boring. Because it's almost like you kind of expect these things to happen.
You get used to it. It's just like any other,
It is. It's just like any other job. So it's kind of like, maybe when you're a fresh recruit out of academy.
Right. There's a bit of fear there, but once you earn your bones, get into the thick of it, you start to anticipate and you know what to expect. Like, there's patterns in everything.
There is. Like a surgeon, I would imagine the first day you conduct surgery, there's a lot of nerves there. Somebody's life is at risk.
Don't do surgery on me on your first day.
Exactly. No. But there has to be a first day.
There's a first day for
every surgeon.
Not on this guy.
And I imagine they'd have to be quite unsettled in that moment. Granted, you're probably not doing major surgeries at first, or you're only being there as an aid. But eventually, you do your first heart surgery. Everyone has to start somewhere. But I would imagine, after 20 years, there's not much anxiety for them anymore. They know what to expect.
A heart's a heart with variables.
Exactly.
And after so many years, all the variables are dealt with too. So it really just becomes
it becomes part of the job.
Part of the job. Yeah.
So I would say that we don't really have scary moments. We've had things that would probably scare people that are not used to it.
We've had a couple of things happen where we're all looking at each other like, did y'all see that? But afterwards, we pretty much laugh about it.
Kind of one of the most interesting things that ever happened that was the most remarkable thing I've ever captured on camera. because a lot of times cameras just don't work when the real good stuff happens, was something that just happened in my house. It wasn't even an investigation. But we had the Christmas ornament that was on our mantle. And I was having trouble sleeping that night, and there was I think I've even aired it on. We've even aired it on this show. I think before.
That was.
And I don't remember which episode that was in, but it's somewhere in the archives. Yeah. But anyway, I was up, and I didn't want to wake my wife, so I went down to my study, and it was on a different floor of the house, and I was up 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning when suddenly I just heard this big bang upstairs. So, I grabbed my gun. I thought someone was breaking in. I really did. But the alarm didn't go off. So that was a little strange. But I grabbed my gun just in case, ran up the stairs and, looking around and couldn't find anything wrong. As I went into the living room, I noticed that there was one of the heavy ornaments. Now this thing's heavy. It was about I'd say about 8 pounds, maybe 5.
I'd say about 5.
But heavy for an ornament. That's heavy for an ornament. So that's not going to be moving anywhere.
Yeah, it's not going to fall over by itself.
Right. So I thought that was kind of strange. So fortunately, I have security cameras everywhere, and we had one in that room for sure. And so I went back to the security camera footage to see what it had captured. And sure enough, it was the most interesting thing I've ever seen. I'd say for about a good 8 or 9 minutes, you can see the ornament on the mantle rocking back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then all of a sudden, it goes forward. And keep in mind, it's beyond the mantle. It's beyond where it would be resting. So it's floating back and forth in midair. Okay. And then it goes forward, and then it goes all the way back outside of camera range. And then you hear the bang. And that was all captured on the security camera. Now, I think that would scare some people, maybe. It fascinated me because it was probably my best capture ever. I know I was giggling like a schoolgirl when you told me about it. Come over and we all tried to debunk it. Yeah.
We couldn't.
There's no way to debunk it. I mean, it was very clearly in midair, from the footage caught it all. It's in the archives on this show if somebody wants to dig it out and let us know what show it was on. But that is a good example of some of the strange things we've seen. Scary, I'm not so sure we can call it that, but for some people it might be. Okay, what's our next question?
All right, so sticking on the similar topic, a question from April. And can spirits, demons, ghosts, etc. kill you? They're always showing that or saying that on TV or movies.
No. I mean, they can in a sense that the energy of death, because energetically it follows an archetypal pattern like anything else does. So like attracts like is a universal metaphysical law. So things that align themselves with death, the death archetype, and I'm not talking about the good variations of it, like transformation that you would see in the tarot. I'm talking about entropy, destruction, sickness, that archetype of death. If one aligns themselves to that frequency enough, then eventually they start to become that frequency.
I think also if you have the proclivity for the lower vibration, if you already have, like if you're already sick and you don't know it, or you have the proclivity to become sick, if you're exposed to it over a long time, kind of like we've talked about radiation, you'll get sick, and it can make you very sick.
It can.
Yeah.
It is like radiation. So overall, that can kill you. So for example, when you move into, let's say, a haunted house that is traditionally confirmed to be haunted, and it's because there are spirits of the dead still present in that location, that energy of death changes the frequency of that location to the point that the living start to take some of that energy into them. Now, I want to make it very clear. It's not as though this is negative or toxic energy. It's negative only in the sense that the living were never designed to be regularly exposed to it. Why? There's a chasm between what we call the living and the dead for a reason. then they're not really supposed to mingle. And this is where a lot of the traditional concepts in Judaism come from. The idea of graveyards being unclean and, corpses being unclean. This is part of where that comes from. There's a metaphysical knowingness to this. And that energy is not conducive to the living. So the more that we go through our lives absorbing that negative energy, the more it can sicken us, to the point that it can become us and literally take us. So it's not as though there's this incorporeal being sneaking around in the corners of your house looking for a chance to kill you, like you might see in a horror movie. It's more along the lines of that you're existing, trying to live in an environment that is saturated with the energy of death. And that just brings your vibration down. It's not compatible. And that can make you sick and that can hurt you. But no, ghosts do not go around trying to kill you. That's not how it works.
I don't think you go over to somebody's house for a party, whatever, and you meet somebody, do your introductions, and you just feel someone's vibe is off. Mm-hmm. And you really don't want to stay around them, but you're kind of stuck at the party with them. Over time, you start to get irritated, and you can feel the energy come off that. Well, this is me anyway. You can feel the energy come off the person. If it's negative, it'll drag you down. It'll make you depressed, make you want to leave. It's all energy.
It really can, and it will. So that's one of the risk factors. Now, Brandon, I noticed that for some reason when you talk, your screen gets small, and I'm not sure why.
Poor Brandon.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Oh no, you're normal now. You're normal now. Okay, it's fixed. I don't know what you did, but it's fixed. All right. So do you have any questions about that, or did that answer it?
You answered them. That's probably one of the biggest questions we've had since we've investigated was, could ghosts kill people and whatnot? But seeing that it's all energetic,
mm-hmm.
That's the baseline, just everything starts to make sense when you look at it from that vantage point.
Mm-hmm. It's actually a good question to ask on this show, because I'm sure, we're going to be talking about healing and stuff. But I mean, tonight, I think you'll see that it all kind of works together, because I have always taught everybody on this show. I've taught my students, I've taught the church, I've taught this audience. Everything in the cosmos is a combination of vibration and geometry. That's it. That, we call things, and we kind of come up with these concepts like the 3 states of matter, and the various forms of energy and whatnot. But in the end, it is all vibration and geometry.
Keep it simple.
And that's it. Our brains are just wired into making something of that so that it's more relatable, for the purposes of survival, really, is what it comes down to. But overall, it's all it is. And what is vibration but frequencies of energy? So, once you understand that, then you can start working with it to your advantage. And that's kind of what an exorcist does. I mean, that's what grace is. It really is that, we can make it a mystical thing and a mysterious thing and the power of God and all that stuff, which it is. It's not that those concepts are wrong, but, even God uses the creation that he manufactured according to how the rules that he put in place work. And so he's not going, even miracles themselves are going to work within the framework of the energy of the cosmos. So even things like healing or mystical experiences are going to work through that energetic framework. It's not just going to come out of nowhere. It feels like that because we're not used to keying into the energy. But once you key into the energy, as a mystic would,
vibrational healing is making a comeback. You know how there's a new movement. Well, it's new to me. Where they're bringing back tuning forks. To use for energetic healing. I'm sure Susan might be able to tell us about that.
Maybe she can. Yeah, maybe she can. All right. So what's our next one?
Next one comes from Jay regarding the Book of Revelation. Are there really 4 horsemen?
Well, I mean, conquest, war, famine, and death are real. They're actual things, and they exist in some form or fashion every single day. So in that sense, and this is the sense in which Revelation speaks of them,
they are among us.
That is, yes, they are real. Now, if you're thinking of them in terms of the images that were presented for the allegorical framework of Revelation, then no, they are, they're not horsemen in a sense that there are actual four horses out there spreading these kinds of things across the creation. They represent archetypally these fundamental aspects. And when you think about it, okay, war, famine, and death are all aspects of the demonic, right? Conquest is the only one that represents Christ, okay? Because Christ triumphs over war, famine, and death. Those are all aspects of destruction, right? All of these are aspects of the demonic. And we must literally conquer these things through the grace of the church. And that's what Revelation's speaking to. It makes sense to portray them in some kind of dramatic way, using ancient symbolism. Horses and horsemen are, very ancient symbols that carry a type of archetypal weight to them when you're telling a type of story like this. But I mean, it's poetry. Revelation's poetry. And I don't think we do it a disservice when we try to remove Revelation from the poetry. Father Chris, we've talked a lot about this in various forms of eschatology or different times that we've discussed it. But, what seems to be coming back over and over again is this idea of the literalism of Revelation. Is there anything you'd like to add that you haven't already? That kind of maybe hammers it home, brings it home so people will finally once and for all realize that Revelation is not a literal book and never was intended to be.
You're calling in the sledgehammer now.
Yeah.
Look, I've said before that, biblical scholarship is, and I'm not just saying this because I do have a major in biblical scholarship, but biblical scholarship's not easy, and it's not something, two things can be true at once. Yes, it's great for people to read the scriptures themselves. Absolutely, definitely. Even better if you're reading a Bible that's got, that's been published by an accreditable authority that has got some reflections, particularly on the most difficult books within it. So that's a good thing to do. But relying on yourself or relying on what you think is the Holy Spirit to tell you what it means is not a very good idea. And it's not to say that everyone should be a biblical scholar. Heaven forbid, the world would be a very boring place. But the idea that you can read something as complicated as the book of Revelation, the Apocalypse, which was written nearly 2,000 years ago by somebody in a different language, and you can just read that and say, right, and now I know exactly what this means for me now, or this is a textbook for how our blessed Lord will return. And most people that read it that way think, have got the arrogance to presume that the Lord will return while they're still alive. And so I just think if you just, zone out a bit out of yourself and think these are things that have been written a long time ago by different people that have in fact been interpreted by many people, including those with authority within the church over the years. Perhaps have a little look at all of that first before you start trying to announce to yourself or to others your unique personal revelation that God is speaking to you through this thing.
Yeah, we've had too many churches opened up with that attitude. Mm-hmm. Well, I read the Bible and the Lord spoke to me, and now I have my own church. And it's completely... Yeah.
We have a lot of cults that start that way, too.
Well, that was my next thing out of my mouth, was that's how cults start. But, yeah.
Yeah.
Read
that's...
with humility.
Yeah.
Please, please humble yourself.
That's right. That's right. The framework of the magisterium of the church. I mean, look, I'm the first one to criticize the Roman Catholic Church where it deserves criticism, and there's a lot of things they could do a lot better.
Oh yeah.
But the one thing that they did not get wrong definitively is the magisterium and the need for the magisterium. You have to have a framework. You have to have a foundation that holds through the centuries and keeps it together. Otherwise, people just go off on weird tangents, and you won't have a belief system after too long. It will just break into 1,000 parts, and nothing will be representative or even familiar compared to what it started out as.
They warp it into human paradigms and popularity contests.
They do.
And, yeah, it's inevitable.
It is, and you have to go into this knowing. I think the wisdom of the church is such that they knew this. And I really think, people criticize these ecumenical councils and say, the church became political and all this stuff. But what they don't really take into consideration is in your obsession with trying to call the church out for trying to obtain political control over people's lives, you fail to see what it really was. And yeah, I'm not saying people didn't use it that way. They did. But that was not the intention. The intention was always recognizing human behavior. And when you're looking at all of these heresies, right, all of these alternative systems of belief that were completely contrary to what the fathers of the church knew to be true, because they're the ones that were in direct line to the apostles, and the apostles were the ones that were in direct line to Jesus. Okay. So when you look at it from that framework and they see all these other people that never knew Jesus, never knew the apostles, making up stuff, taking these books or taking these ideas and running off with them and doing their own things with them, you're going to say, you know what, we need to all get together and we need to lay down the law on what it is that we believe as Christians. What is the Christian faith? And how do we hold this together? And that's what it was. Can that be used for political control? Absolutely. And it was. Absolutely. But that's not what it started out as, and that doesn't make it wrong just because people abused it. You can abuse anything. Look, I'm drinking a wonderful Indian whiskey here tonight. There are many people that could not do this without...
My glass is empty. Darn it.
I know, right? Take yourself another glass. Go ahead.
Maybe on break.
Some people couldn't do this without excess. There are alcoholics in the world. They shouldn't touch this stuff. Okay, but just because they abuse it doesn't make this a bad thing. And it's certainly not a bad thing for me. I try to do it responsibly. Maybe there's been 2 days in my life where I didn't.
I say the same thing about firearms.
Yeah, firearms are another example of this.
Spent my whole life protecting people with mine, so...
right.
It just depends on the person.
You can take a hammer and you can build a house with it. You can take a hammer and kill someone with it. Is it the hammer's fault? Is it really the hammer's fault? Or do you just have something that is a powerful tool that can be used any way that the will of the individual wants? And that's the difference. So blame the will of the individual. Don't blame the tool. And this was a tool. I got a little off that, but this is why Revelation's a problem for people today, because people took it and ran with it.
They sure did.
Instead of,
that's how I was raised to believe it, almost literally.
I know. It's a very common thing.
Thanks,
and Brandon can testify to that too. He's lived it.
See, I can testify to that, to where it was the first part of Revelation was based on events that had already happened, but now this part of Revelation is we're trying to look forward to, we're trying to decode some sort of end times message, or try to triangulate when the Antichrist would show up or something.
I think that's a useful distinction. But on that point, on the looking ahead to X, it's fairly clear from the imagery used that this is talking about the Roman Empire. Mm-hmm. It's talking about, yes, future events for St. John of Patmos, who's writing it, but events that have in fact already happened.
Right.
For us.
Yeah, and the reason it's in there at all, because I think we were asked that by one of our members on the Nicolaitan Network this week. Why do I think that Revelation, when it has been so debated, and even the Orthodox Church, the Eastern Orthodox Church, some had real problems with including it in the canon, and still do. Some still I wish it was never included. I've known many priests, even in the Eastern Catholic churches, that feel that way about it. It's an Eastern thing mostly, but because of this, its proclivity to be so misinterpreted and misused. So he asked me, why do I think it was included? Well, first of all, Augustine loved it. Okay, so Augustine was really adamant about it. And, back then, what he said seemed to win, because he was very much a foundation to much of what the church would become later on. But even outside of that, I really think it is the only book we have that really details in some kind of clever way the ultimate correction of the fallen cosmos to its ultimate perfect restoration. We don't really have any books that talk about that. This is one that does. And to bookend the Bible with Genesis and Revelation makes perfect sense, because they're both the most metaphorical of books. And that's because all you've got at that point is metaphor. Nobody knows how everything began. So we have a metaphor to tell us what that's like. And nobody knows how it's going to end. We have a metaphor to tell us what it's like. And certainly early Christians could have looked at their lot in the Roman Empire and seen a parallel to, well, this is what it's going to be like. The world is going to continue to progressively get worse until Christ comes back, but it will all be okay because he is coming back, and it will all be fixed. That's the message. That's it. It was never supposed to, it's not a map for trying to figure out when he's coming. In fact, Jesus repeatedly warns in the Gospels not to do this. He even says, if somebody says, this is the date, avoid that person. And yet everyone's jumping at the chance to be the one to say, I'm going to predict it. I'm going to predict the end. Jesus said, avoid you.
It's the inevitable temptation towards Gnosticism, because, and again, you just have to remember, this was written by somebody that's not a Gnostic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Christianity encounters Gnosticism, I suppose but really after this has been written, and the author is not steeped in it, and so and like you say, St. Augustine was a big fan of it remaining in the canon. Mm-hmm. St. Augustine was also rather opposed to Gnosticism, so to read it in a Gnostic manner, which is really what you're describing, this sort of there's secret keys and information in here that I can use today.
You're right.
Yeah, it's not it's not only bad religion. It's bad scholarship too.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about when Scripture says that God is not the author of confusion, we know who the author of confusion is. So why would you think that his word would be presented in a way that would be intentionally confusing unless you're corrupting it? Clearly, it isn't supposed to be confusing. It was never intended to be confusing. It became that way when people felt that there's got to be some code here, something that needs to be figured out. And that's because there was a time where Christians could not speak freely and therefore had to use a sort of clandestine language that the Romans would have overlooked or just disregarded. And they would have looked at this and said, oh, that's just, bad poetry or something. It's not their concern. It's just some kind of nonsense. Whereas it would have meant something to Christians in the know. So in that sense, you could say that it had a sort of clandestine function just to be able to protect people. But they were words of encouragement. It was just a way of getting the message across that Christ lives, he's coming back, it's all going to be okay in the end. Don't worry about it, no matter how bad things get. And no, he told us to expect things are going to get bad. So, it's not like you didn't know, but he fixes it. And that's it. It was just a message to tell all Christians.
Classic return of the hero.
It really was. It was just a message to let the Christians know, chill out. He's in control. You're fine. And then we turned it into this, it's got to be some little secret code, some mystery, and we got to figure it out. When Jesus is coming back, this is going to prove that this guy's the Antichrist, that guy's the Antichrist, everyone's the Antichrist.
Well, we love a good conspiracy, and we love a good mystery, and we love to try and figure puzzles out.
Yeah.
It's just human nature.
It is, but it's very problematic when it comes to religion.
Though.
Yeah, wait, it's not, because religion's not supposed to be
but we made it that way.
Complicated thing. It is supposed to be something that's transparent to you. I think the gospel is very transparent in its approach and its intention. Yet there's mysteries there only because God is so far and beyond us, but not because he wants to be mysterious. It's just because we're just incapable.
The things that are most important are really explicit.
Very much so, yeah.
And because those things are actually quite difficult, love your neighbor, love your enemy, pick up your cross and follow me.
Yeah.
These things, nobody disputes what these things mean in the scriptures, right? They're really as plain as the nose on your face.
Yeah.
But they're really difficult things to do because they require something of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and we're lazy. And so we'd rather focus on the minutiae of, can I find an alternative meaning of what the eagle is in St. John of Patmos's Apocalypse? If I focus on that, I don't need to worry about the fact that I hate people.
Yeah.
I understand the temptation. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm guilty of it too. Biblical scholars can be the most guilty of it because we can spend our time doing that and legitimize it. And by the way, there is a legitimate reason to do that, but we can't do that to the neglect of the really obvious things, because the purpose of the scriptures is not to give you a blueprint for what to do in every single moment of your life.
Correct.
Which shampoo should I use? Or, that's not the purpose of it. It is not a blueprint for the minutiae, the details
That's an
of how to
outline.
live your life. That's for you to discern. But it absolutely gives you the direction of your life. Mm-hmm. The direction is to follow Christ and to do that in a way that's sacrificial and that places love of yourself within the context of love of God and neighbor, and to not make an idol of yourself or of any other person or of any other thing, but to follow God. And that's a really hard thing to do. But the scriptures are really, really clear and plain at encouraging that.
I think so. I mean, the Beatitudes are pretty simple. I mean, Jesus does give us parables, but even the parables are not so outlandish that they could be taken a million different ways. I mean, they're pretty self-explanatory, I think, most of the time.
The world is completely it gets things so back to front. Mm-hmm. Some of the people say things are complex when they're not complex. They're just hard, right? So the Beatitudes are actually not complex. They're really simple. Mm-hmm. They're just really hard to do.
Really hard, yeah.
And complicated and difficult are not the same thing.
That's true. That is true. People conflate the two, but they're not the same. You're right about that. Well, Brandon, I mean, we've got maybe about 11 more minutes here. So do you want to get to a question on Catholicism that we didn't get to? Or do you have another one there?
We can just carry on down the list.
Yeah,
we can. I mean, we left off at, we could probably answer this one in 10 minutes. I think we left off at why do Catholics believe the Eucharist as being the actual body and blood of Christ? Did we answer that last week?
I think we answered it.
I think we did. I think we were on 6 or 7.
Okay, so it's up to why can't non-Catholics receive communion?
Yeah, we didn't. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is an interesting thing because I got to give you 2 answers for this one, because there are churches that have closed communion, of which the Roman Catholic and Eastern Orthodox churches are. And then there's churches that have a open communion or a semi-open communion. We have a semi-open communion in this church. It's not open in the generic sense that anybody can just come up and receive. Okay. There has to be 2 things in the Nicolaitans Church for a person to receive communion here. One is you have to be baptized, plain and simple. Without that sacrament, you're not in the communion. I mean, you can't be. I mean, you know that has to come first. After that, then there has to be some fundamental understanding of what you're receiving. I'm not asking for perfect understanding, but you have to know that we're not dealing with a symbol here. It's not an allegory. This is the actual body and blood, soul and divinity of Jesus Christ. And you have to be able to understand that, at least in as much as this is what the church teaches it is. I'm not expecting everybody to fully grasp that or fully embrace that. I don't think even many Catholics do, Roman Catholics do. But at least they do, usually, at least they should, understand what the church teaches about that and why it teaches what it does about it. Now, there's good arguments for closed communion too. Even though our church does not practice restrictive closed communion. And that's because the spirit of this church is about bringing Christians back together, not further finding ways to separate us. But the other side of the coin of that, and the deficit to that, is definitely recognized in how the Roman Catholic Church protects against it, and the Orthodox churches as well, is that Holy Communion for these churches is more than just receiving the body and blood of Christ or believing that it is what it is. It's also recognizing that you are part of a communion of belief. And so this is where the idea of saying, are you going to Holy Communion? Are you receiving Holy Communion? Why the sacrament is even called communion. A lot of people think it's about communing with God. No, it's about communing with everybody, including God. And if you're welcoming or offering this to someone who is adamantly against or outside your communion, well, then it changes that structure, because the communion is a communion of faith. And it's also a communion of the ecclesiastical life. And those things are necessary in order to fully understand the body and blood of Christ itself. Now, I would argue that, again, as long as one is working on this understanding sincerely, then it's not sacrilegious or something for them to receive it. But the church would generally say, at least, again, the Roman Catholic and Eastern Orthodox churches would generally say that you need to go through the steps of becoming part of the communion of faith before you're ready to take on the great and awesome responsibility of that mystery. And I like that. I do, in some ways, agree with that. Our charism is different in this church, so we have to approach it a little bit differently because of the way our church operates, because there is a danger as well. If one, as St. Paul would say, eats or drinks of this sacrament unworthily, then they eat and drink their own condemnation. And certainly we don't want to be a facilitation for greater sin either. And we don't want to just be so permissive that we treat it as though it's a casual thing. So my argument or my suggestion rather to Protestants who might be attending a Catholic church for the first time and feeling a little bit isolated and restrictive because they're not allowed or welcome to come up and receive communion when they come and visit. My question would be like, analyze that for a minute. The fact that this bothers you could be God calling you to something greater. Maybe you need to explore that. Find out why you're feeling emotional about this particular thing. And instead of feeling like the church is excluding you, why don't you see what you need to do to become part of it in a deeper and more profound way so that you can engage that mystery at a deeper level? I know, Father Chris, you probably have some great words to say about this one as well, particularly from the more traditional standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, just one slight amendment is, and I know you know this, is that the Roman Catholic Church does in fact allow communion from those outside of the Catholic Church. There are two specific circumstances for that. One is Eastern Orthodox Christians are welcome to receive communion in the Catholic Church. The Orthodox Church tell them they can't, but the Roman Catholic Church certainly allows Greek Orthodox.
That's because Roman Catholics see the Orthodox Church as part of their communion.
Right.
They absolutely do. So Orthodox Christians don't have to be confirmed by a Roman Catholic bishop to receive communion in the Catholic Church. They can receive communion. The other difference is, and this is in the Catechism, if a Christian does not have access to the sacraments of their own denomination and believe in the body and blood of Christ, they are in fact allowed to receive communion in the Catholic Church.
And that's the framework from which the Nicolaitan Church operates.
Of course.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's the only theologically coherent position to take, I think. I actually think the Orthodox are wrong about in their restriction of that. Although I mean, look, pastorally, I'm sure if you were at war and you had no access to anything else, an Orthodox priest would be ready and willing to receive you into the church and therefore give you communion. So I think
so.
I think so too.
I hope so. I want to believe that's true.
But I've certainly been in circumstances where, and it works the other way, where Roman Catholics are also allowed to receive communion from priests who are not fully in communion with the Holy See, again under circumstances of extremis, which could be at the point of death, or if there's no access to any other means. So you're in a war zone and the chaplain's whatever. Yeah. So, but in terms of I understand the pain of people who go, oh, why can't I receive communion? I think, well, actually, instead of looking at what you can't do, look at this is true of fasting too. You should look at the gifts that God is offering you. So God is offering you the gift of being able to be present at the Mass. Now, that's not nothing. Be grateful for that. Just like be grateful that God has given you life. And so I think rather than looking at the negative, look at the positive, which is to say the Catholic Church is not trying to put barriers in the way or whatever denomination, they're not trying to put barriers in the way, but they invite you as far as they're able. There was a time when and it's still part of the liturgy of St. John Chrysostom in the Eastern Rite, where they say catechumens depart, or let none of the catechumens remain. And people that were even people who were faithfully seeking catechesis in the Orthodox Church had to leave, because this is the bit where communion happens, where the body and blood of Christ becomes present. Now, they still say that in the liturgy, but there's no expectation that the catechumens have to leave.
There wasn't a Russian. There's a Russian Orthodox Church around here that still does that, but I don't think the Greeks do
you
anymore.
Certainly wouldn't be allowed behind the iconostasis.
No, never.
If you were a male, but I think look at it as it's that the church is trying to protect you as well, because until you come to the fullness of the faith of understanding that the body and blood of Christ, not just that okay, I understand that you teach that in the bread and the wine, that's now the body and blood of Christ. In a way, that's actually not enough. It is about understanding why the church has come to that conclusion.
Yeah.
Now, hey, there are people who are baptized in Catholic churches who have no understanding of this either.
Oh, yeah.
And
Cradle Catholics that have no understanding of it.
They are in a different category, because they are, in fact, already members of this, and their own lackadaisical approach to it is on them.
Yeah.
And the Catholic Church says, well, that's up to you. We've taught you, now it's over to you. Actually, what the Catholic Church is saying to people who have not gone through that process is, you might not know better, so this is why we have these principles, and if you want to find out more, let us know, because in fact they want to welcome you into communion.
They do. I mean, it's really an invitation. I look at it this way. Instead of looking at it as like you're not allowed to do something, look at it as you're being introduced to this wonderful thing. Think of it almost like, you're sitting in your living room, just moping around, and you turn on the TV and you see this travel show that has this amazing exotic location. Well, you can't just pick up and go right now. Most of us could not just pick up and just go and visit this place right now. You'd have to prepare for it. You'd have to go and, figure out how much it's going to cost, where you want to stay, what you want to do, what's going to be involved in going on this trip. You will be able to go. You just have to go through the steps to prepare and get there so that you can actually enjoy the trip once you're there. I kind of look at it that way. This is an invitation for you. And the fact that it bothers you that you've been excluded, if that's how you indeed do feel, then that's even more so an invitation. That's a call. You need to discern that more and find out why. It could lead to some great things. Okay, we're going to take our break here. And when we come back, we will be talking about energy with our brand new guest, Susan Shatzer. Don't go away.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down tonight. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it rain tonight. We gonna let it rain tonight. We gonna let it just like the sunrise. We gonna let it rain. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down tonight. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it rain tonight. We gonna let it rain tonight. We gonna let it just like the sunrise. We gonna let it rain.
Welcome back, everyone, to the second hour of Vestiges After Dark. We're getting started here with tonight's topic on energy and healing, and energy as a universal principle, I think. Going to be a nice way to end off this season with a new topic, something we haven't covered before, and always fun to have a new guest on. So we'll be taking your questions, mostly in the second hour, but if you're on the line, go ahead and stay on the line so you don't lose your place. If you have questions, you can ask them in the chat room. Our moderators will bring them to our attention. Okay? I'll also have the phone number up on the screen if you want to call into the show during the third hour. Okay? Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a moment. Okay, everybody. We are ready now to get started with our guest tonight. Susan Shatzer is a globally recognized transformational healer, visionary thought leader, and the founder of the Limitless Life Institute. Known as a master pattern interrupter, she specializes in helping clients gently yet powerfully shift the unconscious thoughts, emotions, and energetic patterns that keep them stuck. With over 20 years of experience blending ancient energetic traditions with forward-thinking spiritual technologies, Susan's work has been featured on international stages, including a recent energetic activation at the Academy Awards. She's the author of 14 published books, and her highly anticipated 15th, Your Limitless Life, is set to empower readers with the tools to transform from within. Please welcome to Vestiges After Dark, Susan Shatzer. How you doing tonight,
hello.
Susan? Oh, wait. Here we go. Now we got you. Okay, sorry. Your mic was off. I got you now.
Oh, good. Thank you so much.
There she is.
I had a fabulous time in the first hour hanging out in the YouTube chat area.
Great.
So fun.
We've got a great audience. I think they're really going to love you. Very open-minded audience, and we have people from all walks of life. What you see here is really the smallest part of the show. These are the diehards that need to be at the live recording. But the on-demand audience is all over the world, with large numbers of people in India and the UK. And Indonesia is our number 4th location now. So a lot of people all over from different walks of life come to this show to learn a little bit of something about everything. And this show covers every topic. So we're very happy to have you with us and to share your insights with us.
Thank you so much. It's my honor to be here.
Yeah, it's ours. It's ours to have you. Thank you for coming. Yes,
Definitely.
Absolutely. So let's get started. Since you've not been on the show before, and for a lot of our audience, you're going to be new for them. How do you describe what a transformational healer is? Let's get started at that point.
Yeah, I'd be happy to chat about it. So transformational healing is basically when someone has tried all the self-help books, they've been to webinars, seminars, podcasts, and like their life is still in the same place it was before they started it all, the gratitude journaling, and they just haven't been able to figure it out on how to be successful or move forward or create something different in their life. That's where the transformation comes in. The healing is from them.
Interesting. So it definitely will speak to a lot of people then, because I know that that's a big issue. People will try different fads. They'll get involved in different topics. They'll read different books, and they'll lock on to different speakers. And then they find that their life's really not changing at all, and then they give it up, and then they feel that it was all for nothing, or they wasted their time, or they start to become despondent because then they don't feel like there's anything for them.
Yeah, we were actually taught to figure it out when we were growing up. Like you were taught with your parents in the school system to find the right answer, make a good choice. You had to figure it out. This life, third dimension, reality, Earth is not about figuring anything out. It's about the energy.
Yeah, that's true. It really, I tell people all the time, it's about energy. Once you understand that, that's when things change. So you, in your biography, we mentioned that you're a master pattern interrupter. So what exactly is a pattern interrupter, and how does that differ from traditional healing that people might be familiar with?
Yeah, so the beautiful part about pattern interrupting is where you've been doing the same thing over and over again, consciously and unconsciously, based on something you were sold at an early age and or something you brought in with you from a past life, or you have a karmic replay that's taking out to play out. And what happens is when those things show up in your life, you're in what's called a no choice reality. Yeah.
And that sounds pretty bad. It sounds kind of like you feel like
reality.
You're at the mercy of the cosmos at that point. You don't feel like you have any control left.
Well, it's something because that's why conscious education is going to be education done differently.
Yeah.
And we're going to be able to work with kids, parents, adults, everybody all together in creating a different possibility. Like, you were taught to get the answer and memorize the answer and learn the material to give the answer back. And a lot of that stuff either isn't true, isn't real, isn't right, and isn't relevant to everybody's life. So what we'll be doing is doing it based on like someone who just loves it. If they feel drawn to a certain area of study, then that would be the direction they would go in. And most of the education won't be based on, you know, you're at this age and this is what you've got to learn. And then you get in this grade and this is what you learn. And this is your teacher and this is what you have. It's going to be like, hey, that interests me. I'm going to go do it.
See, that makes so much more sense, doesn't it? Because we are, I think, out of efficiency, and because we live in a world where people want everything standardized so that it's cost effective, simple, you know, we just sort of put everybody in one box and expect everyone to fit. And then when people fall through the loops, you know, through the cracks rather, they'll say, well, you're not keeping up, or there's something wrong with you, you know, because then they just focus on the people who are able to work with those types of restrictions. Not everybody can.
Yeah, it's true. It's one of the only things that hasn't evolved here on Earth. So communication has evolved, transportation has evolved, like machinery, cars, the medical field, like everything's evolved, but yet our kids are still in their seats, raising their hands and waiting for the bell to ring. Yeah. I'm sorry, but after 100 years, we need to step up.
I agree with that. I flunked out almost.
I don't agree.
You don't. I almost. Father Chris won't agree with that.
My wife is this is her field of expertise. She has a PhD in cognitive psychology. She works in the educational field, so how children learn to read. Listen, where we can agree, I think, is that if we remain in that mode of, you know, for the rest of our lives thinking that's how we're supposed to live, then we can agree that that's not a brilliant way to do things. I think that statistics show that children have been let down by inquiry learning. So in other words, like, inquiry learning is great once you've got a body of knowledge. And actually where we've let our kids down really badly is instead of teaching them actual just things, like there's just things you need to know. This happened at this date. This person wrote this, you know, this is the sort of canonical understanding of this. Then you can go off and be creative, because you've got something from which to be creative with. But this whole kind of, you know, wasting a whole day, I'll figure out how to purify water, instead of saying, actually, you can evaporate it, collect it, and then that will take the salt out of the water. Like, you know, so I think teaching has been actually caught in two terrible worlds. You know, one of the sort of, yes, the Victorian thing of sit down, shut up and listen, not always great, but the complete, go and explore and find what gives you your passion, you know, and then they actually go to high school and they can't read and write, which means they'll never learn anything. So it's, you know, I think teaching discipline is also important, you know, not rigidly, not that you stay there, but that then gives you the ability to when you go off to do your inquiry, to do it in a disciplined and way that's going to actually benefit you and other people.
I mean, I think structure.
I'm not making a straw man. I'm sure you weren't talking against that. I've just gone off on a tangent. Sorry.
I don't think. I mean, Susan, you can speak to this, but I would want to say that I don't think that she was exactly saying that, but I do think that.
No, I'm sure you weren't.
What we are missing in our system, maybe it's more of an American problem than where you are.
The American education system.
It's absolutely
bad. It's very horrible the last 30, 40 years.
And I mean, it's rubbish. It is. And I can tell you from personal experience,
we can all agree on that.
The fact is that not every child can learn the same way. And there is no accommodation for that, because basically, at least here in the U.S., the attitude is then you've got a learning disability, you've got ADHD, let me give you some drugs to help you get through life. That's the solution. That has been the problem for the last several decades. You know, a little known fact. No, a little known fact about me. I nearly flunked out of 5th, 6th, and 7th grade. I mean, borderline, you know. And of course, they put me through all these tests and all these various things. And the initial assessment was, you know, you're telling my parents your child has a learning disability. You know, he's not able to keep up. He needs to be brought down a level. All this nonsense. When it turns out what it was is I was bored to death with their restrictive thinking and learning stuff that literally was not enlightening in even the slightest bit of way. So it wasn't until college that I realized, oh, I'm not a bad student, because I had I graduated magna cum laude, and it wasn't summa, only because of a stupid poetry class that I took that there was nothing you could do to please that professor. She would give everybody a B, even if you were perfect. It's just the way she was.
I think we've all had that teacher.
Yeah. But anyway, Susan, please speak to your thoughts on what Father Chris just said.
So, Father Chris, like, I adore you. I do. And your thought process has been exactly what has kept us where we are now. So, is it okay if I take us back?
Yes, please do.
So, when you're born, your first language is not the one you learn to speak at home. It's energy. So when you are with animals and babies, they'll look up at the wall, they'll look around, they'll stare, they giggle, they cute, and you're like, what is that baby looking at? Like, what is that animal tracking over there? Well, they can see the unseen because they have not been indoctrinated into this reality. So the very first thing you're taught as a child are your colors. So you're taught that this frequency right here is purple. This frequency is white. Repetition, repetition, repetition creates the neural pathway that eventually you only see the color, you don't actually see the energy. So as soon as you get your colors down, you've got a neural pathway that takes you right there. You're starting to form the sides of your box. Then you get to kindergarten and you learn to count. So you start counting. Pencils, crayons, erasers. I grew up with clothespins. We used to count clothespins.
Yeah.
Not so much anymore, but I'm a Gen Xer, so it takes.
Hey, we made reindeers out of
Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. Yeah.
Only Brandon is not.
Yeah, Brandon's the only one that isn't.
We're all old.
But you know, he's an old soul, so we can let him in. We can let him in. He's an old soul.
What a clothespin was later. Yeah, so you learn to count. Right? And you got really good at counting, 17, 18, 19. And then you got to first grade and they're like, yeah, that counting thing is great, but we're going to teach you how to add. So you learn to add 5 and 5 is 10 and 10 and 10 is 20 and 15, 50 is 100. Do you ever go back to counting 78, 79, 80? No, right? You don't go back.
No, they don't typically take you back a lot. No, they don't. Yeah, they just keep moving forward.
Yeah, you'd be choosing against yourself. You'd be making it harder. So what I'm able to do is pull up the programming, because colors, letters, numbers is programming. Our language is programming. It's a limitation.
Well, it's actually a technology, especially written language. Writing is a technology, you know, and that's why reading and writing has to be taught explicitly, because it's a technology, you know. And the idea that, you know, the nonsense of fall in love with books and look at the picture and guess the word, it's like nobody would do that with an Apple Mac. There's just an iPhone that's just been invented and go, oh, you know, just, you know, people need to know the code, right? And writing's a code, so it's a technology, but if you just end at, I mean, it's a good place to start, but if you just end at, I can now decode, you never become a poet, right?
I have no idea. Like, that is sort of beyond, outside. Like, that fits in the box, which is your foundation and the mold that you're in and you're comfortable with. I'm here to shake the foundation. I'm here to rattle the cage doors. Because what happens is, we are way more telepathic than we ever have been. I have parents who telepathically teach their children who don't have language yet. So that's where humanity's headed, and that's where our children already are. It's not so much reading and writing, it's the fact that there's a faster, quicker, and easier way of connecting and communicating.
Where did you, so as you, what led you to originally to recognize this problem and to start working in energy healing and develop this unique approach? Because I mean, clearly you must have had personal experiences that inspired this. I would imagine it just didn't come out of nowhere.
So I'm going to take you back to when I was born, because that's really where God started it all.
Okay.
So my mom's water broke on August 22nd, and I wasn't born till September 8th.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
That's very unusual.
In 1968. Mm-hmm. Mm. And so my whole life, I was made wrong. Oh, if anyone's going to be late, it's going to be Susan. She was late to her birth. Self-fulfilling prophecy. I was like, yep, okay, Susan has arrived 20 minutes late, but now the party can start. You know what I mean? Like it was this entitlement, like I was late to my birth, I'm gonna be late to everything else. But late is only because we're using the third dimensional time aspect, which is a construct. It doesn't actually exist. Past, present, and future is all happening right now. And I grew up with Catholicism. My mom, Roman Catholic. We're from Rome, La Machigian, Italian.
Oh, wow. Oh, nice.
Great-great-grandfather went through the Vatican to be a priest.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So we have the deep, dark roots in with that. And it's after dark, so we get to talk about these.
That's right. That's what this is all about.
Spilling the tea.
That's right.
And my dad is German. And Shatzer used to be spelled with a C, and we were German Jews. And it was one of those things where we had to give up our, I guess, my religion and our heritage and our culture and our language in order to survive.
Yeah.
It was
Right.
a survival situation. So those are both of my backgrounds, my immediate parents. And what happened was I was brought up with Catholicism, and I really struggled with a lot of the things that they did along the way. And what happened was when I came in and I was born, I didn't have the veil. So I could see the unseen, hear the unheard, and I knew the unknown. And I was the older sister, and I just thought that's what happened with everybody. Everybody knew all the other stuff that nobody else really could see. Mm-hmm. So when we would all get together at our families' homes, I don't know if it's just Italians or because we're from Massachusetts, who knows?
We're in Massachusetts, if you don't mind my asking.
Yeah, I'm from Ludlow, outside of Springfield.
Oh, gosh. I grew up in Bellingham. I don't know. Do you know where Bellingham is? I did. We probably crossed each other's path on more than one occasion. Didn't even know it.
You New Englanders, I swear.
We are the coolest people you will ever meet.
I've had some fun up there, yeah.
That's too cool. That's too cool.
Small world.
Yeah. So there's like a lot of abduction stuff happening up there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's like the gray territory.
It sure is.
I can even tell you, like, my dad has lost time and was abducted, and his DNA was altered. So there's this galactic capacity with me as well.
Oh, my. You have a rich history. There's no question about this.
Yes. Well, we haven't even gotten to the best part.
Yes. So let's get back to it. Yeah.
So I end up getting hired to be a Walt Disney World dancer down here in Florida while I was on vacation visiting a friend from college. And I took the job, and it was like, yeah, something you had always wanted to do. And okay, here I am, I'm in Florida. So now I'm not around so much Catholicism because Western Mass is very small. Like in Ludlow, we didn't have lines on the road. You know, when you saw another car coming, you slowed down and you got close to the side and you passed each other and then you went back to the middle. Like our headlights were our street lights. Mm-hmm. Like that's where I grew up, like really hick areas. And so when I got down here to Florida, like it's Southern Baptist and Episcopalian and evangelist.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my goodness. Like people are talking in tongues.
It's a shock, isn't it?
It was. I was like, okay, I'm going to go to this one and I'm going to go to this one. And I was just looking for something that really resonated, with me. And I finally ended up finding it, but it was like, this trial and error kind of a thing. And while that was happening, my guardian angel tapped me on the shoulder and she said, you should do the math on your birth. I was like, oh, okay. So I went back and I was like, August 22nd, September 8th. Did you know that's 18 days? 18.
Yeah.
So I spoke with doctors and I'm like, how is that even possible? I'm like, Massachusetts, who's like Harvard, Cambridge, Yale, Boston Children's Hospital, like MIT, like really top notch in the medical field since the way back. And they're like, you shouldn't be here. And neither should your mother. The fact that you're here is a miracle. The fact that your mom is still here is a miracle. And I was
these days that induce within 24 hours of Woolsack breaking.
Yeah.
Yep. You will have a baby. Either you're being induced C-section or you're going it on your own.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're coming. So I went to my dad and I said, so he's 83. I said, Dad, I'm like, did you know it was 18 days? He's like, of course not. And I'm like, how did you not know it was 18 days? And he was like, because we didn't.
How's it work?
Yeah.
What'd you say? Did I miss it?
No, so he just said I was at work.
I was at work. They didn't even let the dads in.
Yeah, they didn't.
All of them said, okay, you have a daughter, come pick her up.
Right.
So it was one of those things where 18 days, right? So I'm not supposed to be here and I should have died. The body should have died. So I had to know. So where was I? What was I doing? Like, am I inverted? All the blood's rushing to it. 18, that's a mighty long time to be like stuck in the birth canal. Am I coming? Am I going? So time stops. I can see every particle in this room and this lucid dream screen drops down. And I'm in heaven with God. And I'm arguing with the Lord. I'm like, no. See, I know the rules up here. And I get to choose if I'm going to go do this or not. And he said, Susan, you have to go. And I was like, no. See, I'm tapping out because this lifetime is filled with way too much heartache, betrayal, disease, illness, you name it, cheating. It was on the docket for me. And I was like, look, Lord, I promise I'll go in 100 years. I promise when Earth is a nicer place and people can get along better. I promise. He's like,
it won't be nicer in 100 years.
It hasn't been in 50.
Maybe 10,000, who knows?
Nobody. So he goes, no, Susan, it has to be you. And I'm like, why? There has to be somebody else up here more qualified. Like, why does it have to be me? And he opens his arms and he says, look here. So I looked in and there were all these like twinkling lights. It's like he had taken like silver confetti and just like threw it up in the air and it was twinkling. I'm like, oh, what's that? He goes, those are all the souls waiting for you to get to Earth, for you to help them on the soul's evolution, which is why they incarnate. I was like, oh, yeah, that, huh? All right, I'll go. So I took my first birth breath after 18 days of being in utero.
That is, and so that's really the starting point for you in this journey, that you never really lost that connection to that experience.
No, to source. I just didn't remember it.
Yeah.
Until, my guardian angel tapped me on the shoulder and started to take me down the path of questioning, because questioning always empowers you. Anything else disempowers you. So it was interesting because we had 3 households, my grandmother's, my uncle's, and my mom's. And I grew up the street from my cousins. So we were all just the backyards. We just all hung out in the woods, pretty much all the time, up in Western Mass.
That was the way of things back then. I did the same thing.
Same with us. Yeah.
So we have the same picture of our dead relatives. it is just in a different antique frame. And it's hung in a different location, but it's the same image. It's the same picture. So I'm at my aunt's. It's Thanksgiving. And I had known ever since I was young that every time we would get together in these 3 homes, we would start talking about the good old days. And do you remember when, grandfather this and uncle that and this kind of a thing? And they did that funny thing. And then the photo albums come out, and then the 3M, video cameras, and the screen goes up, and we're watching, videos together. Well, they would materialize near their pictures, near their portraits. And they would hang out in the clothing style of whenever they were, whatever that lifetime was that was designated with that picture. So this one Thanksgiving, my great grandfather is having a total come apart. He's snapping his watch closed. He's tapping his cane. He's pacing back and forth. His top hat's coming off and on. And I walk over and I'm like, Nana Josh, what's going on? He's like, where's Nonna Betta, which is, grandmother in Italian for Betta, which was Elizabeth. And she didn't like it, so she went by Beth, Elizabeth. So I was like, I don't know, let me check. So I leaned back because her picture is on the other side of the curio cabinet. I figure she's just hanging out with her picture, like they all just hung out with their pictures. And her picture wasn't on the wall. So I turned to my aunt and I go, where's Nonna Betta's picture? And she said, well, it fell off the wall and it's at the repair place. So it's having to be repaired. You couldn't take, these have gold filigree, like work done on it. So I told Michael, look, she's probably just with her picture. And he looked at me like, what? like, who are you? Like, I had no clue. I go, look, you said you were hungry and you were waiting for her to have dinner and she didn't have it yet. I said, so come with me. We're about to have dinner. And he goes, oh, okay, I'm hungry. Yes, I'll have dinner. So he started to come with me and like dissipated in just disappeared kind of a thing. Well, I turned around and my mother was right there. She was like, what are you doing? I was like, well, Nona Josh, he was having a come apart and I was just kind of helping him sort of figure out where she was and her picture's not here. And so he was hungry. And she's like, yeah, that's probably something you don't want to talk about with anybody ever at all.
Had she experienced anything like that when she was little?
No, neither she or my dad.
Wow.
My dad last time, he was going to pick my mom up and he left the Westover Air Force Base. And he went to go pick her up. She was 20 minutes away. And back then it was like 1965, 1966, maybe a little bit earlier than that, 64, 65. My grandfather was one of the first people in the neighborhood to have a car. Can you believe it's this long?
Yeah.
And the first car in the neighborhood, and he parked it in the middle of the driveway. So like roller skates, they didn't have skateboards back then, but bike, and people could just walk around it so nobody would bump into it. So my dad, whenever he came over to pick up my mom for a date, he had to park in the street on the side next to the curb. So this one time he said, Susan, he said, I woke up in the driveway with the car turned off and the keys still in the ignition when I'm sort of wake up like, how did I get here? He said, and he's just looking around. Yeah. So he said, I knew that I would not have parked in that driveway had I been in my body.
Yeah.
So it was confirmed that he was taken. His DNA, his genes were altered. And I was, quote, an experiment that went wrong. Like it was not a successful experiment, whatever that happens to be. But since that point, I'm able to go into people's subconscious and I take out the unconsciousness that's in there. So scientists have proven that your subconscious creates your reality. So when I go in and I pull out the pattern, master pattern interrupter, the programming that we've had, I can do it through all time, space, place, dimensions, realities, universes. Like I clear it infinitely out. So it's out of your body, being, aura, and reality, frequency. And because you said in the very first hour, like attracts like here on planet Earth, when you have that density of the trauma of what's happened, okay, even though you've done, how many people have done like shadow work and inner child and the little girl, little boy, like we've all done it, but we're not able to actually get to the next step. That's that work I was talking about in the beginning.
Sure. Yeah, there's a lot of people that I think stop at the point of the subconscious. It's like, the unconscious, even Brandon was asking about the collective unconscious today. And I kind of correlate that to the Akashic records, just different words for the same concept. But overall, it is an unconscious reality. So it is something that can be experienced, but not consciously, unless one were to be able to discern it in such a way that it becomes part of the conscious reality. It sounds like that's what you're kind of describing by bringing these unconscious conditionings into the light of day, where now people can work with it on a conscious level.
Yes. And it's like when you're in first grade and you learn to count, you don't actually go back to adding.
Yes.
I mean, counting when you learn to add.
Right.
It's like when you have the awareness of what's limiting you in language, with frequencies, with programming, with loops, with all of that kind of stuff, you actually are in a choice universe. You have choice because you can choose something else, or you can choose to continue along the path you're currently on. And so
is it about that kind of, otherwise you become a sort of an automaton, you just people discover this when they have children, right? I've got 5 children. So, and you before you can catch yourself, you find yourself saying exactly the same things your parents said when you were a kid, right? And so, because it's kind of just, and at that point, well, you either don't notice it and you are just an automaton, or you go, why am I saying, my parents said that to me. Why am I saying that? Is this still a good thing to say? Is it relevant now? The answer might be yes, by the way. And this is how tradition works, right? But it has to be, what you're saying is that the best way to do that is consciously. Because you're really exploring the limits of talking cure, so a therapist can, you can talk about, you can go back into your life and do that work. And I'm not saying it's not important, but what shifts is being able to, in a sense, be snapped out of that automaton thinking. Is that the go?
No.
She's gonna set you straight.
No bother, Chris.
No, good. I'm trying to figure it out.
You're trying to figure it out, and you're trying to put meaning behind what I'm saying, and you're creating the form, structure, and significance that your world requires. Like scientists require that. Okay, I've been studied by scientists, and they don't know how I'm able to do what I do. They don't know how I'm able to access what I can access. So when you were 2, do you remember the word that the 2-year-olds would always say that would piss our parents off?
Yeah, why?
Yes.
Yeah. But why?
Yes. Guess what? The reason they're asking that question is because they know that a different possibility is available that would create greater. Like, why can't I wear my princess dress to church? Why can't I wear my Spider-Man costume to school? No, because we don't do that. Because that's not what everybody else does. Because that's not the time and place for it.
But why?
Exactly.
Yeah.
For the kids.
Yeah.
The parents are in, what's the right thing to do? What are you supposed to do? We're going to be judged, you'll get in trouble. Like, it's all the rules and regulations that we grew up with, and that's programming. You haven't actually asked a question. So the question my clients ask is, if I choose this, will it create the most benevolent outcome for me? If you get a yes, this has to do with muscle testing and using a pendulum, because our bodies are more conscious than we are. We have points of view about things and our bodies don't. You know this much, maybe more like this much. God has access to the infinite possibility realm. That's where we go in. and we call up the frequency because everything's energy. So we command, and command is ask and ye shall receive. Command is co-creating with the molecules of the universe, molecules, and every molecule has consciousness. So you're co-creating with the molecules by placing the command out into ask and ye shall receive. When two or more people come together, so shall it be. Yes.
But given that you're not God, or so that I'm not God,
We are from
how
God.
do I know? How do I balance, the pursuit of what might be good for me versus what's good for other people, a nation, the cosmos?
So we are source. We came from God. We are his children.
Part of the source. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a similar energy frequency. We've just come here and we're programmed into dumbing everything down, not being totally aware. So like when you learned your colors, you learned that anything in that large crayon box is a color. It has a name and therefore it is to be. However, if it does not have a name, then you cannot see it. Guess what your eyes cannot do?
It's
You
very,
About structure.
it's very similar to me what you're describing. I can relate to it on a very
I can
deep
too,
level
yeah.
because outside of my Christian faith, and I've said this on the show before, I was Buddhist for many years prior to coming back to the church. I left the church, I came back, I left the church again, came back. And in those little, well, not so little, wide gaps between them, I was exploring different things, and Buddhism was one that I took to. Foundational to Buddhism is this idea that we don't live or even are able to recognize reality. We see constructs, we see essentially constructs of mental formations that are produced by ignorance that is continuously facilitated.
Cave, right?
It is Plato's cave. It's the same thing. It's East and West. We both have it, and even the church has its variation of it. It just doesn't go into the same kind of detail. I think Buddhism goes into perhaps a more explicit detail on this. But it sounds to me like that's what you're sort of talking about, because it sounds like the healing starts with the mindfulness.
Well, it's with being educated. So there's two things.
Okay.
One is your cup is full. Like if you could have figured out how to have a totally abundant, completely joyful life, don't you think you would have by now?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. See, the thing is, if I start to teach your cup is full, it's going to make a mess on the table. It's just going to dump all over the place. We have to take some time and dump out your cup. Get rid of the low vibrational frequencies. So there's an emotional chart. Emotion is energy in motion, an emotional chart. And we took it from this because this is the lie when it's higher and lower with numbers. Just below God's consciousness is gratefulness. And just above death, there are 8 emotions: anger, rage, fury, hate, blame, shame, regret, and guilt. So at any point in time when you're experiencing those, you are functioning at a frequency.
A low frequency. Yeah.
Which one of those would you say
emotions.
is the most negative, or are they all kind of equal?
They're all low.
Okay.
They're all low. And what happens is with therapy, you were asking about therapy.
Mm-hmm.
So therapy has you go in and, so how did you feel about that? So what happened
You get to
next?
describe it.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
what happened after that? And so they're teaching you that things happen to you when that's the lie we bought in this reality. The
I
reality.
think, in fairness, this is where I think actually I was agreeing with you more than you realized. I think because
He has a knack for doing that. Don't mind him.
sorry. I was agreeing with you more than you realize because I'm not against talking cure. It's got its role, right? But talking cure doesn't necessarily lead you beyond where you are. It sort of, you get very articulate at describing the Maya, and this is why, ritual actually helps shift you from one place to the next. I mean, so in the Catholic context, I've said about this before on the show, like the point of the sacrament of reconciliation, which is what it's really called, not confession, and confession is part of it, is not so that you just describe how crap you are. it's you describe the crap things you've done that are holding you back, and then you get released from them.
Yeah, because it brings them to the conscious forefront.
That's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of it. Not to leave you in that, circle.
Sorry.
But you can disagree, but it doesn't mean I'm wrong.
I love it. So the word want.
A little banter.
What's your definition of the word want? What does it mean?
It depends on the context.
Okay, what do you want to be when you grow up?
I'm still figuring that out.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What do you want for your birthday? Maybe that's better.
There's not many things I do want, so it's hard for me to answer that question. But
okay, we'll just leave it at that. So the dictionary was physically changed on us in 1943. You can go back and look at the dictionaries prior to that and dictionaries after 1943. And you will see that the definition was changed to desire, to want, to have.
Words change meaning all the time in living languages, all the time.
Okay. So this one word, it's my 4-letter word. This one word holds people back all the time, because the word want actually means lack, less than, and not enough.
Yeah, I found you wanting.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
And it was done purposefully. And then an entire propaganda was set up for us to use it unconsciously. So when you have impoverished people and you have wealthy people, impoverished people are in the want. They want more. They want more work. They want more money. They want more jobs. They want more. Wealthy people, wealth consciousness, poverty consciousness, wealth consciousness, they're like, oh, I'll have that. Yeah, I'll have that too. I'll have 2 of those. They're having, they're not wanting. Wanting is always in your future.
Yeah, they want for nothing, actually.
But the word want, when you use it, you can never have what you want because it's always going to be in your future. You want something because you don't have it now, but there is no future, only the present. And so you are sabotaging yourself. So what you're saying to the universe, and the command is language, is I lack money. I lack a new job. I lack a relationship that truly contributes to me. That's what you're saying when you say, I want a new relationship. And these are the things that we were programmed with, that we weren't taught, that once you learn it, once you know it, I can go in and delete all of what you've already assigned and decided was yours. That gets eliminated. And then you have the choice. So there's your choice universe of using it, not using it. And it is the most challenging thing that everyone that I've worked with has really struggled with, eliminating that from their vocabulary and replacing it with I am and I have. And it's to the point where people are like, no, I didn't. I'm like, well, we can shut the video off now, let it process, come back on and re-listen again. Yep, we're going to have to do that. Yep, because no way I said it. I'm like, okay, we'll do it. So we stop. We get back on. They're like, I had no idea. So this one is even in the face of total awareness of what it creates. It creates more lack. You're asking for more lack. You're actually like shooting yourself in the foot proverbially. You're not creating that which you actually think you are looking to create. And so that's the kind of stuff that's low frequency, that's been programmed in, that is now at a cellular level. Because what happens is our body stores the trauma. You know how, doctors will tell you, well, they have a liver or a kidney, and they say, well, that was anger, and that, our emotions are held inside the body.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Acupuncture helps with that. I'm a student of acupuncture, used acupuncture. It absolutely, they can narrow down your traumas to an organ or part of your body and that's what they treat with the needles. I absolutely believe
Which
that.
is also an energy work.
Yes, it's also energy work. Yeah. Absolutely.
You see it in the
true.
face of people who where there is a release. Like, I mean, often, in the context that we experience, it's people that come to faith, or they have these kairos moments, right? Where, and people say, oh, their eyes light up now, or so definitely those emotions and, you wear your life on your
Gotta be
on
kept
your face,
somewhere.
literally. Yeah.
So what is once these things are removed, we're going to get to some of your process, I suppose, but once you have successfully removed some of these negative processes that have been stored into a person, what is the course of action going forward for them? What instead of saying I want this or I want that, which is, I agree with you, completely creates an immediate deficit from which you might not ever get out of it. What should they say in place of it going forward once they've dealt with the issue?
So I am and I have, because that's present tense. And
even if they don't yet?
That's the thing.
Okay.
The thing is, it's not about the thing, having the thing. It's about being the frequency of receiving the thing.
I see.
And that's the difference. So it's, what can I do today that will create this right away? You're commanding in, you're questioning, so you're engaging with the molecules. This is when, like, the magic happens, when God has the opportunity to step in and go, here's your blessing, here's your miracle. Because what we do is we go, okay, well, I really want that. And you place your order with God, and the order goes in, and he's busy working on the people, places, things, ideas, experiences. And then you look at this amazing spaghetti and meatball dish going by, and you're like, oh, waiter, and you change your order. And God is like, okay, well, I have to put all of this over here, and now I have to start a new thing of working on it. And it doesn't actually get to fruition because the person's not ready to receive. That's why we dump their cup out. Mm-hmm. So they have more space in their cup to invite in that which they'd like to have. And as we eliminate the lower vibrational, emotional people, places, and things, and it just makes so much sense. You're the frequency of the 5 people you hang out with, or you're the wealth of the 5 people you hang out with. It's a frequency match. That's basically what all of those metaphors are talking about, is people who are impoverished don't go hang out and go to school and play in leagues where the wealthy are. It doesn't happen because it's not a vibrational match.
It does definitely need compatibility, as is all things in the metaphysical. All right, we're going to take our next break here. We're speaking with Susan Shatzer about energy, and we'll be taking your questions next. Don't go away.
Streets are empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for regrets. I've been flying from town to town. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul.
I can feel it somewhere inside, haunting like a drug I keep on wanting. There's a love that fits so perfect it's hard to believe. There's a reason I can feel my heart stop beating, and the air gets tough just breathing. I'm alone but I'm still feeling like someone's with me. It's strange, I know, but I feel like you're here with me, like chasing ghosts. I know you're out there. Time is unfair, 'cause I know you're out there somewhere, patient, waiting unaware, feeling like your grip might slip too soon. But I'm running, chasing speed and gunning. I'll be right there all of a sudden. I feel your heartbeat lead me straight to you.
Welcome back, everyone, to the third and final hour of Vestiges After Dark. On this season finale, we have been covering the subject of energy and healing, and we have had a wonderful discussion with our new guest tonight, Susan Shatzer. Really fascinating stuff, and I definitely resonates with me. I hope it is with all of you. If you have questions, call into the shows, 207-544-1983. That's 207-544-1983. You can also ask your questions in the chat room. Our moderators will bring them to our attention. Great stuff so far and more to come. Don't go anywhere. Calling in from the 707 area code in Northwestern California. Hello, you're on the air with Susan Shatzer. Hello, 707.
Is that me?
That is you.
That is you, dear.
Yes.
Oh, yay.
Hello.
Hi, Susan. It's Vicki.
Hi, honey. How are you?
I'm good. So what I'd like to clarify is wanting to find out when you said, and I should know all this, but I'm not doing it the way I should, is when I am asking for clarity or to have something, to get an answer on a question or an issue that I'm working with. You're saying to say, I think that, I think you're saying what is going to bring me the greatest joy. Is that how we ask our inner guidance, or that part of ourselves to find the way to go on making decisions?
Yeah, so we're asking, like, if I choose this flavor of ice cream, if I choose this direction, if I choose this job, if I choose this path, if I choose this relationship, will it create the most benevolent outcome for me? And you're asking it for you because we used to say in the highest and best for all involved. However, the highest and best for all involved sometimes ended up being someone else's karmic lesson that you just got dragged into because that was the highest and best for all involved. So now we say the most benevolent outcome for me, my energy field, like we're having a distinct conversation with consciousness, with the molecules. And we leave it open because even we can only think of that which we know. And God has access to everything that we don't know. So when we ask for something, sometimes God is like, you're asking for this little thing. I've got this great big thing over here that if you kept an open question, I could deliver this. But because you focused in and you said, I want this, he can't actually deliver the great big thing, the gift and the miracle that he has for you.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think I've been stuck on making it the best for all concerned, and that's not the way it's working out best for me.
Yes, because all concerned includes everybody, and the top person is the one that gets it with that. And sometimes it has nothing to do with you. It's not your stuff to process. It's not your stuff to handle, but now it's in your life, in your reality, in your field, because you said, you asked for the highest and best for all involved, or the highest and best for all. That's like old now. Now we've like upgraded what we're asking God for.
Mm-hmm.
Did that answer
thank
your
you.
question?
That really helps. It does. It really does help. As much as I should know this, I still first start including everybody in it and catch myself. And I think it's really been limiting.
Yeah, because that's what we were taught to do. Is like, look, community, unity, like everybody, like don't leave anybody out, no man left behind, all that programming. And so we were taught to be inclusive, and we were taught to take on everybody else's stuff and to be the last. I mean, women, moms, we're the last ones. And, it's been proven that women who get married and have kids live 10 years less than men who get married and have kids. In fact, men who get married and have kids live the same length of life. We women are more apt with the programming and our DNA and what we have coming in to give more in all areas to all people.
Yeah.
A lot of times to keep the peace, or
we tend to give of ourselves to everybody and forget about ourselves in the process. And so you'll drag yourself into the ground trying to help other people. But you got to kind of take care of yourself first in order to be able to help other people. And that's something we are all guilty of.
So that's when the switch came to most benevolent outcome for me. And that's when you get to include you in it. And your most benevolent outcome can include supporting other people, but it includes you, versus the other way around doesn't include you. It's just the highest and best for everyone. So that was a missing piece that we uncovered in the work that we're doing. Thank you for calling in.
And we can get up every day. Yeah, thank you, Susan.
Yeah, get up every day. That's a good thing.
Get up every day and just be open to whatever that day is going to bring. Like not have a limit on it, not say a certain thing needs to happen, but to be open to however it turns out, to the most possibility. Right.
If I could just input there, I would say that the biggest problem that I see with students and other individuals that I work with, either on a pastoral level or, otherwise, is as soon as you start bringing your expectations into it, you start limiting yourself. Expectations are almost poison to it. So absolutely.
Distractions.
It becomes a distraction that almost becomes impossible to get out of, because as I think Susan has done a wonderful job tonight of expressing, it is a thought process that becomes cyclical, habitual, and then a trap from which we don't ever arise from. So in order to protect ourselves from falling into that trap, I think we need to be open to the limitless opportunities and the gifts that God has on reserve for us. Because the one thing he will not do is violate our volition. God will not break our volition. So you have to give him permission to do anything in your life. And sometimes that permission is not entirely clear, because we don't realize that it's not always a conversational thing. It's not like you're going to God in prayer and saying, I'm allowing you to do this. I mean, it can be that, but sometimes it's really just along the lines of you've set such limitations on your own life that you've already given, or I should say, prevented God from receiving the permission to act within it. And I think that does hold us back. So Yeah, I think Susan, you're on the right. You definitely have given this caller the right track. I'm sorry, caller, I didn't get your first name.
Oh, Vicky.
Vicky. Okay. So Vicky, I think that this is a great direction for you to take forward into your life, as to, it's okay to be open to other people or whatever, but I think really what you have to do is don't put any limits on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is great. Thank you.
Thank you for calling in. We appreciate it.
Vicky.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It's always nice to hear from a new caller. So Susan, I mean, I thought that this would be a question that would come up tonight, because I know that one of the things that I hear often with people who are very much stuck in these negative cycles, and almost to the point that they have created an identity around them to where they don't want to give them up, because it feels like they're losing some of themselves in it. And I'm not saying that's our caller's problem, but I would say that it is a large part of the issue for people, is that they've made an identity out of this conditioning that you've been talking about. So how do they learn to break through that conditioning without losing or feeling as though they're losing themselves in it?
Well, let's do some.
Okay, sure.
So if you're here listening and you have a big problem or a challenge or an issue that you have going on, and you would like it cleared out of your life, out of your frequency, out of your body, out of your aura, let's do it. Game on. So pop your big challenge in the chat, give us a ring, call in, and let us know what your biggest problem is. Because I was going to speak to what you're talking about with issues. So issue is actually doesn't belong to you. So when you use the word issue, like I have an issue with this, or I have an issue with that, or that's my biggest issue with them or it or whoever. Issue means it was issued to you. It doesn't belong to you. So you either voluntarily took it on. They're like, here, take this limitation. You're like, okay. And what do? It's we learned from our parents. And you know, Fire Chris, you were talking about it. You were like, well, we start to sound like our parents. Yeah, because those were our first teachers. And subliminally, unconsciously, as we're growing up and they're around us, coaches, you know, older siblings, neighbors, TV, reality, non-reality, we get that, oh, so that's how you do money. Oh, so that's how you do relationship. Okay, wait. Yep, I got it. Okay, that's how you do work. So you're taking that on, and it is programming because someone else is doing it, and you're not actually asking if that belongs to you, if it works for you. You take it on, you install it, and you have it running in the background ever since. So that's one of the things that, you know, we're here to get rid of. Let's dump your cup out. Let's give you some space in there to invite in that which you'd like to have in your life. You know,
yeah, I mean, there's a kind of like Jamie. I was a police officer, so I did that for 10 years. Jamie did it for longer than me, I think.
26.
26, and to a certain extent, like it's explicit. There's an explicit programming that comes with that, right? I mean,
Right.
Which, you know, in our, you know, as Western societies developed, we've decided, you know, we have these parliamentary democracies, we have laws, and therefore, to a certain extent, to the extent that you're in your role, you know, in your job, then, you know, it doesn't do to be creatively thinking about where my energy lies when someone's trying to stab someone else to death, right? You know, so there are certain kind of patternings that come in that are for the common good in that instance that have sort of been handed on by tradition, I suppose. But coming back to what you just said, because it inspired me to say this, when you then either go home or leave or retire, and I've seen this so many times with former colleagues of mine, they just die. They retire and die.
Yeah,
I think they have the lowest pensionable draw in the UK, even though they can retire on average 15 years younger than somebody else. They don't live as long in retirement.
Yeah,
because they've just become this program.
The growing, the word of word of thumb in law enforcement, at least where I'm from, is if you make it 5 years past retirement, you're pretty lucky. Like I think today,
the UK average is 7 years.
Yeah, today, matter of fact, I lost one of my mentors, and he was actually, I think, getting ready to retire.
So you got like what, 1 year left and you're done?
No, because I stayed in the fight doing now I fight demons instead of bad guys. So
yeah, you're still in the work.
I think I'll be all right.
You'll
still in the work, just in another
way.
way. But yeah, you tend to lose a sense of purpose because you've lived your whole career in this box, and then it's just like with the military.
You're taking on a role.
When I left the military, I naturally segued into law enforcement and kept it going. But when I had to finally retire from law enforcement after 26 years and then 4 years on top of that in the military, that's 30 years of my life, which was most of my life. You live in that box, and it is very hard. You feel like you have no purpose, and it's hard to get out of that.
So maybe that's a good scenario, Susan, for you to look at. I mean, sorry, first of all, did you agree with my kind of rough thrust? That you become programmed and you need to be deprogrammed.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm shown, so when like all 5 of you, 1, 2, 3, 4 of you are here, you are showing me your lifeline this way. So I can see each of your lifelines, and I can see all the way back to what you chose to be or do when you were source, separating from source to have your own experience as a soul, your initial choice. Then all of the lifetimes leading up to now and what's projected into your future lifetimes. Then your ancestors are shown to me this way. So I can see each of your ancestors, 15, 20, 30 generations, what they've passed down to you that you now have that was never yours to begin with. But each time we show up, we're here to like clear everybody else's stuff along the way. Karma is spinning on the sides like a tornado on the sides. And I've got your angelic team and my team is over here. So that is how I'm able to like focus in and know exactly what it is, exactly what's happening, exactly when it was picked up, exactly when it was installed, exactly how long you've had it, exactly how important, what, like all of that kind of stuff. And then we just simplified it. It's like, we don't actually have to know what it is because it's just that frequency. And if that frequency is not your soul source frequency, then it's not yours. It doesn't belong to you, and it has no business being with you. Thank you very much for carrying it. Thank you very much for processing it for everybody else. But it's your turn. It's your turn to have the life and the frequency that you came here to do. And that's what the angelic realm and I call your soul's goal.
Danielle in the chat room has a question for you. She says, this might be an opportunity to do some work. So she says, I keep trying to break free from chronic illness, and every time I'm free of one, I get diagnosed with another. What am I doing wrong? I ask what I need for my higher good.
Yeah. So Danielle, you've not done anything wrong. And that's a really good thing to talk about, is that we've all never done anything wrong. You've been told you've been wrong. You've been told you got wrong answers and you made a wrong choice and a bad choice. That is not actually true. The truth is, when you came down and took on a body in this lifetime, you chose to have specific experiences. And in order to have those experiences, there are certain people throughout your life who agreed before they got here to give them to you. And you also agreed to give other people experiences. So for instance, like I've, been in jail in another lifetime. I've not been in jail this lifetime. Like there's where we go back and forth with the things. So what's happening is your body is giving you information. With illness, your body is talking to you. It's giving you information as to what it requires. So scientifically, our immune system is dual-fold. Our immune system is here to eliminate pathogens, viruses, bacteria, fungus, mold, that kind of stuff. And our immune system is here to filter out our emotional trauma. What happens in the third dimension, it is one of the toughest places to be. is to have all of the trauma pile up over time. And then the body has to choose what it would like to filter. Okay. The body is going to be self-preservating. It's going to eliminate the pathogens. You will need to be in control of the emotion, the trauma. So your team, your angelic team is here, and they're letting me know that, and you can just say yes or no in the chat, like, do you have emotional trauma from childhood?
Right. She's go ahead and answer that, Danielle. But her last message to you was, my immune system attacks the energy producing parts of cells.
Yes. So 8 months after my son was born, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis.
Ooh.
Autoimmune, chronic, not supposed to get better. And when you take my MRI, the radiologist says she has more than 20 lesions on her brain. Like, I have more than 20 scars on my brain. They've never been able to give me a definitive amount. As well as on the cervical and thoracic, MS also attacks. I have 1 or 2 on every single spot.
Oh my.
This is a simulation we're in. This is not reality. Yeah. So it's interesting that do you know if she does similar work? Is she an energy person, energy worker?
I think she has worked in some of those things in the past. She says she has a functional neurological disorder. But yeah, I know she's studied energy work in the past. Haven't you, Danielle? She says yes.
Okay. So there is a dark and a light. It's not necessarily good and bad, evil and not evil. It's just lighter energy and heavier energy. And it's not an opposite. It's just, that's what it is. It's sort of like the radio dial we had on our car, our phones, in our homes, the radio dial, and you would scroll through the AM and FM series, and you'd have to get the little dial like right on the bar.
Fine tune it.
Yeah.
To actually get your channel, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so that's
the Gen Zs don't know what you're talking about. They can imagine.
I'm sure YouTube
Good
had
times. Good times.
So what? My computer's going crazy.
I heard something. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what happens because energies are able to manipulate electricity easily. So when we do this work, it's not, and when we're actually like saving souls kind of a thing, like freeing people from the burden that we've been placed in. It's like we grew up with fluoride in our water. They knew fluoride was bad. They knew it was toxic, but they put it in our water. We grew up with Flintstone vitamins. We grew up with Act fluoride. We grew up with fluoride in our toothpaste. And we used to get every 6 months, you pick cherry, grape, or orange, and you would get the goo.
Cherry, absolutely cherry.
Every time, right?
100%. Do you know what I mean? It's like they were already, limiting us, and they did it on a physical level with that. That's just one of the things that we've all been exposed to that our bodies have had to figure out how to do, because mercury and fluoride are the same equivalent. Like, our body cannot process those, and they're housed in the brain.
You know, you mentioned the simulation. It's a subject we've covered on this before, and too much interesting debate. A lot of different opinions on it. And honestly, I do tend, with my Buddhist kind of background, and I do tend towards that, not so much in that it's a computer generated virtual reality as much as it's kind of a construct of mental formations, more in the Buddhist sense and more of a ethereal sense. But regardless of how you want to look at it, whether you want to take it from the Matrix movie series point of view, or if you want to take it from more of a Buddhist Hindu kind of view with the Maya, or even a Gnostic point of view that the physical world is a prison, and that the the demiurge is here to keep us enchained to its will. Very much the same archetype playing out in the Matrix movies. The
Mr. Anderson.
Exactly. Yeah, Mr. Anderson. Yeah, that's right, Mr. Yeah. What do you see as the root source of, because you've mentioned a few times, like they've done this, they've put fluoride in our water, they hold us back, they create these
Who's they?
Yeah, who's they to you? Like, how would you define this, and where is this negativity coming from?
So in order to just take the school system, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
So do you know why the school system was created by Rockefeller the way it's created?
Probably not to the degree that I need to. I know I didn't agree with a lot of the things that it was orchestrated for. I mean, I know it had a lot to do with control and productivity, and certainly the things that they even teach us, like, for example, higher mathematics instead of functional mathematics. Like, I mean, I never understood personally why you would teach people calculus and trigonometry when most people are not going to go into fields where those are needed.
It failed in my case.
Yeah, I know. It failed in most of our cases. But what people don't know the first thing about is investing. And then that's a functional skill. How do you fight inflation? You're stuck with inflation whether you like it or not, but most people just keep their money in a checking account and it just keeps deflating. If you don't know how to invest.
Economic group you were brought up in.
Yeah, exactly.
You were brought up in middle class.
Yeah.
See, middle class, you were taught in high school to balance your checkbook.
Yep.
In the wealthy communities, they did not get housekeeping, cooking, and wood shop.
Mm.
They got banking and stocks and bonds and trusts. That's what they got in their school system. You were not allowed to have that because you were not going to be that. You were going to be the factory worker. And the best way to train a factory worker is with repetition. Repetition, it creates the neural pathways. So if in your seat, raise your hand, wait for the bell to ring, you've just created an amazing, compliant factory worker.
So compliant for whom? Are you talking, is it a wealthy elite that's the source of this problem? Or
when our parents grew up, like my dad worked for 30 years for the same company. Mm-hmm. He did the same thing every day at the company.
Because you can't now.
Right.
That's rare nowadays.
Our kids, I mean, they're amazing. They really are. Like, they are unapologetic about what is going to work and not work for them. And they came in doing and creating things that are just blowing me away. But yeah, to talk about with Daniela, like, it's to go back to her thing, because I know she's like on a pause, energetically on a pause at the moment. So Daniela, yes, one and two things. One, there is emotional stuff from childhood that you have that you picked up. So, take a look at your parents, mom and dad, like which one was more emotionally toxic? It could be both. Whatever that is, we're going to eliminate it right now because I'd love for you to be able to have this experience. So we're going to use breath to do it. So in a second, we're going to take a deep breath in. I'm going to call up the frequency of these limitations that you have right now that's creating the physicality of illness in the body. And then we're going to delete it. Yeah. So what we normally do right now is all of you that are in the Zoom room and all of you are in your homeland, in your own place. If you have a pendulum or if you do muscle testing, some people use, I call this the lock and the key. Go ahead and ask truth. And we say truth first so you can not get the mind involved because you're not here to figure it out. The body has more awareness than you do. It's more conscious. We're going to get the body because, and this is what they didn't teach us either. Like, there's so much to share. Like, we were taught that the soul is housed in the body. That is not true. The soul is infinite. The body is housed in the soul. And when you have that perspective, you're just like just blown out of the water. So take a look at the childhood you had, the toxicity of one or both parents, and then look at, because it's being held as a residue within your body. So what is the weakest link for you? So for me, the weakest link is my son. So I was paired up with someone who got diagnosed as a narcissistic psychopath. Now, children pick their parents, and we picked our parents, and our parents picked their parents. So there's something that my son required with me and with him in order for his body to come in to have his soul's goal completed. For his soul's evolution in this lifetime, creating this body, he needed something from both of us. So that's what your angelic team is sharing, that your mom and dad, right? You picked them to be together, to have the experience, and it could be something you chose to have. It could be something that you required in order to complete your soul's goal, and your body's here to let it go. So if you muscle test, go ahead and ask truth. Does this limitation match my frequency? So basically you're asking if the limitation that Daniela has, that she's brought up, that we're going to clear in a minute, do you have any part of that also within your field, body, aura, being, frequency?
She just said that her father was a narcissist, and his great great grandfather, so her dad's great great grandfather, was a murdered multiple people.
Serial killer.
Yeah.
Yes.
That'll do it.
Sister. So that's what we're talking about. So we're going to eliminate that, and that was passed down to you. So no wonder your body is trying to kill itself.
So it's like a generational curse almost.
It's kind of how they actually operate. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So basically my role in it was to stop the abuse. Like, my son is not narcissistic. He's not abusive.
Thank God.
So when I asked questions about, what was true about marrying this person, it was like, what's right about it, I'm not getting. And then I got it. I was like, oh my God, this is MS that I got diagnosed with. And it was bad. It was like trial drug study, chemo, steroids. Like, yeah, every month you're in the office for the study. Like, it was bad.
Yeah.
And the thing was, I just lost my train of thought because I'm coming down to the third dimension. I was just up in the fourth and the fifth dimension, like processing. Yeah.
It's tough to do that during a radio show.
Yeah.
It's like, normally it's like, whoosh. Yeah. So we're going to clear that now. So this is why, because like attracts like, so we're all here today. There's a reason why, Danielle, you're here right now, that you've asked this question. It's time for this to leave. So are you willing to let go 100% of this? And there's always asking permission, because some people aren't willing to give up 100%. Some people are just like, well, that could be important and I should remember it. And maybe, okay, 50%, I'll just barter with people. like how much are you willing to let go? So go ahead and muscle test if you're here with us and ask truth. Is this trauma, emotional trauma, like the frequency of it? You don't have to have a name. We don't even have to know what it is, but truth is that in my field. If you get a yes, then you'll be clearing this also. And what happens is, this is the coolest part ever, is like every time you're willing to give up a limitation, you free up hundreds of thousands of other people that were helping you hold it in place. That's where validation of your reality comes from. So we're going to kick it to the curb. All right, everybody, take a deep breath in. You're going to hold the breath until I say out on 3 and it leaves. So take a deep breath in. So truth, all the form, structure, significance, all the rejections, calculations, computations that you have, everything that was passed down to you from previous, everything you've been held at a cellular level, everything that you've created as SHIKU, which is an acronym for secret, hidden, invisible, covert, unseen, unsaid, unheard, and unacknowledged. Out on 3 and it leaves. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that.
I have to say that felt pretty good.
The mind chatter just disappeared.
Yeah. It got very quiet there, didn't it? There was a moment of stillness in that.
There was a glitch when she...
It kind of just froze the screen a little bit.
Just kind of, yeah. There's definitely some energy exchange there. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel there, Mystic?
Yeah, Danielle, tell us what you feel. We're in about it'd be about 8 to 10 second delay, so it takes them a little bit. Yeah, she says feeling kind of tripping over here in England.
Yeah, so there's another part to this also that would like to get eliminated. So your team stepped forward and they're saying that there's a contract promise that you've made with them and they've made with you that also needs to be cleared in order for this to be completely out, for you to be able to have the awareness and choice moving forward. So would that be okay with you? I'm going to assume you said yes, because that's why you're here. And this is what we're doing. So everybody take a deep breath in. So all of the oaths, vows, fealty, communities, blood oaths, promises, contracts, swearings, and agreements you have with them and they have with you throughout all time, space, place, dimensions, realities, universes, non-universes, omniverses, multiverses, known and unknown, said and unsaid, acknowledged and unacknowledged. Would you be willing to rescind, revoke, recant, reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy, and eliminate them right now? Out on 3 and they leave. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I got goosebumps with that.
Yeah, there's definitely, you can feel it. There is an exchange of energy in this. Danielle just said the headache she's had for months is gone.
Hopefully she didn't get knocked out of her chair.
I think she might. It's possible. Yeah, Danielle, let us know you're okay. Maybe she fell asleep.
And you know what? The thing is, you don't have to believe what I do. You don't have to like what I do. You don't even have to know what I do. Like, God is like that. Like, you don't even have to understand it. Like, it just works.
I think that what's important for people to understand, particularly if you are a skeptic in this kind of thing, if it feels a little too like metaphysical or new age for you, I think it's important for people because we have both sides of that in this audience. I think what people need to really remember is that all of these worldviews that function are valid. If it functions, it's valid. It's by virtue of it working means that the universe has already endorsed it. So it really doesn't require your belief or your acceptance. It just requires, that your participation. In my opinion, it's like I felt it. I did. I mean, I'm not lying.
The first one.
The first one in particular. But I mean, there's a stillness, a silence that comes with it. It feels very much like a deep. Like what you get out of deep meditation. Like in those moments, Susan, I felt like what it takes me maybe 30 minutes of meditation to achieve. And I felt it instantly. It was very nice. Yeah.
Congratulations.
She says she just felt bowled over sideways.
and Moosh Val in the chat said the color changed on her TV to a soft yellow.
Yeah.
Manuel says that his ears are ringing loudly. So people in the audience are definitely feeling something. Brandon, Father Chris, did you experience anything during this? Did you do it? I didn't know if you did the breathing, but
yeah, I did. I was doing it. It's just one thing that occurred to me that I wanted to say that you just triggered off in me. I've said it before, but about whether people believe in something or not. I think that people's the esteem in which they hold their own personal belief is overhyped.
Right, yeah.
So that's a very English way of saying that don't worry about what you believe or don't believe. I mean, that really does hold people back in so many ways of life. Do the thing. Worry about whether you believe in it when you're dead.
Yeah, you're hamstringing yourself.
Do the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the metaphysical law that I've always come back to when I think of this is that if it works, it's true.
Look, I've said this before. I was in the hospital, and they said I would be in the hospital for probably 4 or 5, even 6 months, because they didn't think I'd be able to walk again for about 6 months. I sat there and did meditation. My old martial arts instructor came to mind. I sat there in that bed and literally pictured myself repairing my body. I got released 2 months early, and not only was I walking again in 6 months, my ass was back to work. So you can do it. You just got to...
You created a new neural pathway.
Right. And I don't know what the hell I was doing, but it worked.
Well, it's about will.
So don't shortcut yourself. Yeah, the will is a very strong motivator. So yeah, there's definitely something to this, and it's basically using your own energy to repair yourself.
Yeah. It's biofield energy therapy kind of a thing. I don't use the word therapy because it comes with a whole bunch of
baggage.
Yeah. A whole bunch of baggage.
Well, that's another, you talk about boxes. That's its own box, really,
So it is scientifically proven. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mystic says it sounds crazy, but colors are looking brighter and clearer. And she says, thank you ever so much, Susan.
You're so welcome. Yeah, because what happens is you have this perception of what it's supposed to be like, and that creates the vision that you have moving forward. So, how a lot of people say, well, if you have like a problem on your right side, that's the male side and the left side is the female side. And, if you can't really run or walk or move forward, like you don't really, you're challenged in moving forward in your life or all of that kind of stuff. Well, the same thing with seeing truth. Are you willing to see your future? Are you willing to see where you're going? Are you willing to see what's happening right in front of you? So when you eliminate the block on that, you actually have clearer vision. So there's 4 sacred ceremonies that we do together. And I love how you said Akashic records. Because for me, I was shown by my team a 45 record for individual souls. So you all have a 45 and it gets placed on the player and the needle comes over and I play your soul song and I can listen to your soul song. And they are so amazingly beautiful. And then it gets to the part where it goes, like there's a scratch on it. There's like a skip. So I was working with collective consciousness, humanity, and I'm shown our record as humanity as a 33. Of course, it's bigger. The 33 record goes on and I play humanity's soul song. And what comes up is and you asked me, who is it that's doing this? Like, who are the they? So here's the thing. The thing is, there are individuals that benefit from us not asking questions, not being the conspiracy theorist. Like even that was created to sidestep in a different direction. So what happens is these programs were created in order to keep us in a place of not receiving. Because we are massive manifestors. You give us have you noticed? Like I'm in Florida, have you noticed how they'll say there wasn't anything there in the ocean, but now there's this, tropical storm, or we have the likelihood of a few rough patches showing up, and then the news picks it up, and then we have it, and then you're listening to it on the radio. Well, we manifest that madness because I can manipulate the weather. And I know it's possible because I teach other people to manipulate matter. And it has to do with the belief systems not being believed anymore, but being in the infinite possibility field, which is God's domain. That's God's zone, infinite possibility field of what's available.
Wasn't it Art Bell that got everybody to pray for rain and it flooded?
It flooded and killed a bunch of people. It scared him. He never do it again. Yeah. So it has to be, I guess, responsibly done. But, it sounds like if you're doing it with the right intention, that wouldn't necessarily be the outcome, I would hope. I don't know. Is it possible that you could mess something up with this? Is that even possible by maybe changing the frequencies in a way that it actually goes askew or goes wrong in some form or fashion?
So that's polarity. There's no right or wrong.
Okay.
I ask permission. So truth, like, people have called me for earthquakes and devastations all around the world, and we'll get on a call. And the first question is, truth, is this in alignment with the current timeline? So if it's in alignment, so if it is to be kind of a thing, then we can cushion what shows up. So it's not that it doesn't happen, it's that it might not happen at the extent, or that it could shift in a different direction. So the hurricane still happens, but it's just happening off in a different direction. Yeah.
Well,
Does that make sense?
How many times have we seen where a hurricane or a major storm will shift at the last second? Because you got all those people on shore praying it doesn't hit them. I think sometimes there's enough intention thrown up there that it actually does move.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen with me with a tornado. If you remember, was it two years ago?
The prayer against storms?
The prayer against storms. And you can see on the radar, and I think I shared it on our network, where you had the red radar blob, and it literally split in half around my house, came back together, and a tornado touched down 3 miles northeast of me and destroyed a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
But I was on my back porch praying that thing away, and by God, it moved. Say what you want about it, but I use that prayer for storms every time it gets sketchy.
I used to live in Florida too, Susan, and I used that against one of the, I forget which hurricane it was, but there was one that back in the late 90s, I was in Palm Beach, and I went to Palm Beach Atlantic University. I don't know if you're in Southern Florida or Orlando or the Panhandle, but you might have heard of it. But anyway, it's I was right on the ocean, and they had closed the beaches and everything else, and this Category 5 was supposed to slam right into us. I did that prayer against storms, and you can see the radar as soon as it got to the edge of the coast of Florida, it turned around and went back out to sea. And it was not in any of the models for that to have happened. It was really a remarkable thing that occurred, that it occurred that way. It never touched ground. And I attributed it to that because it was the first time I ever used that prayer.
Yes. You did that.
Yeah.
You absolutely 100% did that.
I believe that. I do.
Yeah. I mean, when I went back and it passed, and I found out that the tornado did do some damage, just because I basically felt it, heard it, smelled it coming, and you know that smell right before a tornado. If you've ever been in one, you know that ozone smell.
Yeah.
And when it passed over me and we were out of danger, I went and looked at the radar, and it literally just formed around me. And pretty sure I shared the picture on the network. I'll have to dig it up.
You did.
That was fascinating.
Susan, we only have a few minutes left. I want to give you an opportunity to share with the audience anything you want to say, your website, ways that people could contact you for, I don't know if you do private sessions, but anything that's on your mind, please, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. So since we were talking about the magic that we're doing, what other way are you going to do it? My computer will not stop.
You're okay.
It is massively, totally.
You put too much energy out there tonight.
Yep. Slammed it in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Woo. There we go. Now it's calmed down a little
All
bit.
right.
Yeah.
They're very sensitive to energy work, I find computers are.
Yes. And I am in service to humanity. That is why I am here. I have been here to have all of these experiences, to have all of this in order to be able to see it in other people. And I can see it quickly and easily. So the target is to get people out of the current frequency they're in, create greater space in their cup. So I do work one-on-one with people who can pick it up. Okay. I do small groups. I do have, it's called Second Tuesday or Wednesday. I always mess up the Tuesday, Wednesday thing. So the second Wednesday is a free event where everybody comes. We all get together on Zoom from all around the world.
Oh, cool.
And we pick what's the one big problem? What's the one thing that's stopping you? And we go through and we put it in the chat and we blast it out. And what happens is you not only get yours, but you get everybody else's that's also in the room. And that's quantum-fied, quantum, like propelled out. I don't know. I can't really talk. I'm not in the third dimension with you guys.
No, you're good. You're good. So you can find out more, I imagine, at your website, susanshatzer.com.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. That's in the chat for all of you out there. Susan, I just want to say thank you so much for being with us this evening. This has been fascinating. I have thoroughly enjoyed everything that you've shared with us tonight. And I really think it was very helpful to this audience. So I really appreciate all the great work that you do.
Thank you. We're getting close to the holidays, so you're going to get triggered. Let me tell you.
Oh,
yeah.
It's coming.
It always happens, doesn't it?
Join, get on a call, book a no-cost consultation with me. Like, let's figure this out so you can have ease moving forward.
I know someone that you need to be introduced to, and he's a friend of the show, and he's a hypnotherapist that works with the Michael Newton Institute. His name is Regan Forston.
Forston, yeah.
And he is a absolutely lovely man. I think you two would absolutely get along, and I think you could actually share some knowledge and ideas with each other.
He does past life regression,
he does past life
and
regression,
he also
NDEs, alien abduction.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, you'd enjoy him.
So cool. So I'm going to be in a movie.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's called The Pillars of Power, and it's going to be launched in the spring. And we brought together a lot of the secret actors that were
Okay.
Secret. It's the 20-year anniversary next year. So we have them, and we have like the new ones like us that have been doing this since that came out, kind of a thing. And so we're all together creating the Pillars of Power.
Well,
fantastic. Look forward to that.
Susan, I want to thank you again for being with us tonight. Thank you so much. It was fabulous, everything you shared with us. Brandon, thank you. Father Chris, thank you. And Jamie, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
You know, and a big thank you to our moderators and to our audience. You know, we are here for you. We love you all. And thank you so very much for spending your evenings with us on Tuesdays in season. We are at the end of this season 12, and we now begin the holidays. So I want to wish each and every one of you a very safe and blessed Thanksgiving, Advent, and Christmas season. We'll be back probably towards the end of February for the winter spring season 13. Can you believe it? That will be coming up at the end of February, where we will join you again with fabulous conversations like this one on esotericism, mysticism, metaphysics, philosophy, religion, spirituality, you name it. We cover it on this show, all that good stuff. Take care, and God bless until February. I'll see you all out there in the ether.
Thanks, everybody.